You found a shed off one that was really big, didn't you?
Dude, yeah, that shed, I think it was 89, almost 90 inches. And that buck was actually found locked with another buck the next year. And the neighbor, like, the big deer was dead, and this like 140 incher was dragging him around. And the neighbor was able to shoot the tine off that smaller deer and kept the head off the giant. And I got to see that deer in person and score it.
You got to match up the shed and everything?
Yep. And I don't know if it's true or not, but supposedly a different neighbor has a matching side to the one that I found.
Wyatt Speer, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, of course. Jacoby, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. Good day to talk about deer hunting. Wyatt, thanks for making the trek all the way out here to Veneta. I know it was, 15-minute drive?
15-minute drive, yeah. Pretty tough.
Not too bad. Well, we want to talk to you about like some QDM stuff, deer management. Obviously, this is kind of the stuff that you do for a job every day, so it's probably a really easy topic for you to kind of dive into. But before we get into that, I'd like to kind of open with a prayer, and then we'll dive into the topic today. We'll just get into it all. All right,
Sounds good.
Cool. Lord, thank you for today. Thank you just for fellowship and deer hunting. It's just something to come together and talk about, Lord. I just pray that we just submit this podcast before you, Lord. Anything that you want from it, we just pray that it comes, Lord. We just pray the main thing is that people come to know the name of Jesus through listening to this podcast, Lord. So just please let that be the name on our lips, Lord. And just anyone that comes into contact with them, God, I just pray that you just work on their heart and just save them by your Spirit. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
So Wyatt, I'm interested, like I was thinking about this the other day, like going back to high school. You were probably one of the first people I ever thought about when it comes to like deer management, of like probably the first person I ever heard to like pass a deer. I'm like, pass a deer? What do you mean? That's the weirdest thing ever. So I'm curious kind of with you and your dad, and I guess the people that you hunt around, like when did you guys start getting into like quality deer management or thinking about trying to grow a bigger deer? Like, because it feels like you did it earlier than anyone I know around here.
Man, like my dad grew up like running and gunning, like killing deer. And he didn't really start to try to manage deer necessarily until I was 10 years old, I would say, because I shot my first deer whenever I was 7. And I grew up watching the Real Trees, Monster Bucks, and
Road trips,
all that stuff. And I would just like watch it. And me and Dad went hunting that first year that I was able to hunt, and I passed up like 2 or 3 bucks. And my dad's like, "What are you doing? Just kill a deer." I'm like, "That ain't near big enough, Mm-hmm. But I didn't know what I was doing. Ended up shooting a little 7-point. But from then on, like I tried to shoot the biggest deer I could, just because I'd idolized Bill Jordan and all those guys because they always shot giant deer, and I didn't know I'm in Northeast Oklahoma where a deer like that's somewhat rare, especially 20 years ago, whenever not many people really managed. But, from early on in my deer hunting career, been trying to manage a herd, and my dad's been really, really diligent about it. And a lot of our neighbors have started to become on the same page now, but that's one thing that's hard, and you've got to deal with it because anyone can shoot whatever makes them happy. And I'm all about that. Like, shoot whatever you want to. But if like you're trying to focus on a certain age class or anything like that, and the guy next to you just shoots whatever comes by, it's hard. That's what makes managing a free range deer herd so difficult and so fun, so rewarding whenever you get to kill a mature deer, and it's tough. I mean, I've hunted private land my whole life and get my butt kicked day in and day out. And like, I have so much respect for you guys to go out on public ground and kill these mature deer. And here I am.
Kill a decent one every 5 years.
Dude, I kill a decent one every 6 years on private ground. And I hunt the same buck 4 years in a row. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so rewarding whenever you actually get to kill one of them.
I was listening to Andre DeQuisto talking about the TV hunting the other day, and he was like talking about this guy. He said, you see these people and they see a nice 3-year-old on TV, like, oh no, he needs a couple of years. And then he said by the end of the week when they need an episode, they shoot it and they're like, he was just a little better than I thought he was. And Andre was like, no, he wasn't. That was a mediocre buck. You just wanted to take some meat home. He's like, just say that. So it's really funny. When dad was growing up, I'm sure like that's probably in the 80s.
Yeah, he was born in 70. So
yeah, he'd been like killing deer growing up kind of in the 80s. Yeah. So like
in the 80s.
Justin was telling me he grew up around here too, that like, dude, well, one, you didn't have TV videos to like, oh, there's another tier of buck that's out there.
Or trail cameras.
Or trail cameras. Yeah. But Justin kind of believes that there really wasn't that quality of buck around, that many of them back then.
There wasn't. My dad talked about the deer numbers being so low whenever he started actually deer hunting that, like, when you saw a buck, you're like, heck yeah, I'm killing that sucker.
That safety's coming off.
Yeah. And, like, it went from that to, I know my dad's told me back in the 90s, my dad claims that, like, 90, I'll get the year wrong, but, like, 92 to 94 is whenever he thinks deer numbers in Craig County peaked. He said that, like, it was wild. Like, you go out to a wheat field of an evening and there's 70 deer on it. Like, you know what I mean? Or 100 deer on it.
Now, does that mean just quantity, or was there also quality mixed in there too?
I would say quantity, mostly. And, like, that was still, everybody's under the mindset, you know, like, if it's got horns, let's go ahead and shoot it, you know. But he thinks that the deer numbers peaked back then. And our deer numbers now are still crazy through the roof here.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justin's kind of told me stories of like, dude, you go out and see 25 does, and like if you saw a forkhorn, you're like, I'm shooting that.
Yep.
Because there were so many. Which now, back then, they probably didn't know. You probably need to shoot some does. Like those are the buck makers.
Yeah.
You know, not when you got 25 of them. There's one buck sitting there.
Yeah, that's, you know, an old school thought was don't shoot the does, you know, and that's what my dad grew up believing too, you know, because that's what everyone preached was to have them bucks, you got to have those does, you know.
Little armchair deer management.
Oh, yeah.
Back in my day. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. So when did your dad start, you say, like, shooting bigger bucks?
I think probably, I know he shot a couple good deer before I was born. I was born in 96, and I think he killed 3 or 4 good deer when I was born, but I don't think he was, like, purposely trying to shoot a big deer. He might have been. I don't want to, you know, put any words in his mouth or however you say that. But, like, I know that I've seen pictures from before I was born of him holding 130, 140 inch deer, you know. But definitely from the time I started hunting on, he was a lot more into managing, you know, trying to kill mature deer. And I don't know how many big bucks my dad's killed. His house is full of them. It's crazy. He's a killing machine.
I don't know how really to word this, but don't take this the wrong way when I say it. Let me explain myself first. But I wholeheartedly believe that there's not, you know, there wasn't the numbers back then. But do you think there could have been like some sort of progression on like whether like hunting style or new tactics that he kind of implemented to try to like get on those more mature deer, or do you think there just wasn't any around at that point?
I think that he probably just had heard enough about, you know, like I said, like those hunting videos and everything, like that was all in full swing by then, early 2000s, you know, and
everybody had that general knowledge.
And my dad religiously reads North American Whitetail, and like, you know, like he was probably like, oh, I've heard about this for so long. Let's just try it out and see how it goes, you know? And he has, I mean, he's killed some really good deer since, you know, from that time forward. And
I don't see a lot of people up here managing property specifically for deer. It's like almost all combination cattle, or not even really that much farming or anything like that. It's mainly cattle. Those two kind of don't mix in some sense of the word. So like, what were you guys doing? Do you remember like early growing up in terms of like doing stuff specifically for managing deer?
We've been fortunate and had property that we run our cattle on that we have, like, say this one piece is 80 acres and we have 2 acres in the very corner of it that we have fenced off and a pond, and we have a food plot in there and a shooting house, and the adjoining property is a big woolly hill that's where all the deer live. They come out onto that of an evening, But like on the stuff that we actually own, that's basically what it is. We manage our property for cattle. I mean, that's what makes us money. Deer hunting don't make us money, So
Yet.
that's what you got to
Feels the soul,
do.
though.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. So like on my property, that's what I've got a 2-acre food plot and a shooting house. I have like 5 trees on my property. The rest of it's grass, but the adjoining property is a big creek bottom, and it's where all the deer live. And then they come out there onto my property to eat the food plot. But the place that we've hunted for the last 25 years or so that a cousin of ours owns, he's does like a lot of the rotational grazing, and like he doesn't spray any chemicals. He doesn't do any of that stuff. So like his property is grown up, and he runs cattle and sheep and everything, but he does it in a very different way than 99% of the people do it, So like there's way much more vegetation, or a whole lot more like bedding and everything like that. So we've been able to manage on that property a lot better and actually have an effect than we do planting a food plot on 1 acre of a pasture full of fescue. Like, you know what I mean? Like over there, we've done a lot of thinning and stuff like that on pecan trees, and made bedding areas with all the hinge cutting and doing stuff like that, and been able to kind of see more of an impact of the work you've done, just opposed to, because I mean, planting that food plot, that does a lot of good for the hunting aspect of things, but how much effect are you really making on a deer herd by an acre of wheat and turnips? I mean, it's going to help, but whenever you can't really do anything else with your property that you have there to, help, what else are you going to do?
So you're looking at it more like food plots are just attractants, and then what you
No,
guys...
I mean, they're essential. Like they're good. They're good for a deer herd, but like in those instances right there, those are attractants.
Yeah, I'm with you. No, I like that. I like that approach of just like trying to get more of what they feel is natural. It isn't just like a seasonal thing, because the only management me and Christians ever did, like I guess food wise, is just those golden little nuggets that get scattered on the ground, and like that's it.
We do those too. Yeah. I mean, I ain't above running a corn feeder. I'm here for it. Yeah.
How much better do you think you could do if you could, it was 1975 and ground was $100 an acre, and you could devote like your whole property to just manage a deer? You didn't have to run cattle.
Oh man, that place that joins us to the north up there, it's a whole section. No, it's 2 sections. No roads through it or nothing. Like if we own that, killing a booner, like at least every other year, I would say. Not every year, or we'd at least raise a booner every year, because 1,200 acres of woolly, nasty hills and creeks, and if we owned that and didn't have to worry about running cattle and making a payment, oh, dude.
Yeah.
Especially if you spend the input that you have to spend on cattle, if you put that towards managing a deer herd, it'd be crazy.
What do you think would be different? Like, would you be able to do like way better bedding areas, more big destination food sources, like all of the above, or what would you do?
I would say all the above, and if you like had the time to dedicate towards it, like you could set up and manage your property a lot better with like putting in fire lines and keeping those fire lines and doing prescribed burns, and manage the timber on it a little differently than you would. I mean, I would plant, like, say if that's my dream property, the one that I'm not saying it is, but like if it was, like there's a decent amount of timber on there, but like I would probably plant some more trees and plant a different variety of tree, because there's some oaks up there, but not many, there's quite a few persimmons and stuff. But yeah, I think if you were just, here's $50,000 this year, let's manage this property with it, you'd be able to do a whole lot, I would think.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I feel like that's one of the things that makes it so interesting in a place like where nobody's doing it, is you just kind of see it as like oh, this could be 5 times more potent, because nobody would be willing to give up their cattle ground to make this into purely deer hunting stuff. But I'm not the one making a payment every year either, so it's easier said than done.
Yeah, but like also like I don't know if it just made me think like you're saying like a property where no one's doing anything too. Like some of those properties hold the best deer. Mm-hmm. Like if they're not running cattle in there or doing nothing,
yeah.
like some of those properties just leaving it to nature and like let that property do what it's going to do. There's going to, you know, be some big deer living in that place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So with you and your dad, you talked about your dad was shooting some pretty good bucks in the 90s. Like what are y'all's goals now when you like on a deer season? Do you guys have like an age goal, or you manage for age or antlers or what?
Age is number one. That's what we shoot for, is just killing mature deer. Now, I mean, it helps whenever it's a 150 incher, but you know, like I'm not going to pass up a 120 inch 6-year-old deer. Like
even if you have let's say 150 inch 4-year-old or 3-year-old.
Nah, I'm not shooting those. I'm shooting the 6-year-old. Oh yeah, 100%.
You're a better man than most.
No, I don't think I am. I just, man, and I haven't killed just like a ton of giant deer. Like I've killed some good deer, but there's just something about beating that buck at what he's doing in his home. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it is so tough. A lot of people can get lucky and kill an old deer the first sit they go hunt. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and like there's a couple bucks that I've hunted for years and laid eyes on once or twice, and that's trying to do every single thing I can the right way, you know. And then like there's been other times where I'm like, I'm not going to see anything today, and then there he is. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just so rewarding to shoot a mature deer. And
all I was going to say, I wasn't trying to cut you off, is like that's what we find so fascinating about what you guys do, because here in Northeast Oklahoma, we've talked to Dallas Barber, and the majority of the land is segmented into like 20, 40 acre chunks. And on those 20, 40 acre chunks, you know, you have, you know, 5 people hunting and their uncle. And it's like with that, you know, the age class tends to, you know, not be as good, but yet you're still focused, even though we're in the same region, you're still focused on age. And so like that just takes a different type of mindset.
It does. And a lot of the property is broken down like that. And like me and my dad were talking about that place we hunt over there on that creek, like in a 2-mile stretch right there, there's got to be over 20 people hunting. Like
that's crazy.
It is. And like I was like, oh,
and everybody's after a buck.
Everybody wants one.
And then I got to thinking, I'm like, oh well, yeah, they hunt. They have 3 kids. They all hunt. This guy hunts and he lets 2 other buddies come hunt. Yeah, there's 20 people in that 2-mile stretch of creek bottom right there, and it's tough.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So what do you think are, you know, going back to the land management stuff, what do you think are some of the more common mistakes, you know, that people have generally in this area when it comes to that?
I don't think near enough people do prescribed burns. I think that they're very beneficial.
How so?
Just getting rid of all of the old vegetation, like all of the dead
leaf litter,
leaf litter, all the dead grass that's laying there. I mean, just peeling that back and letting the seed bank, you know, regenerate is awesome. And we see a lot of that up at work, like just getting that old junk out of there and letting it, you know, start back fresh is really good. It puts a lot of good food out there for them.
That's what also kind of stacks on your resume too, is like you don't only do it at home, you do this for an actual 9-to-5 job as well. So can you kind of touch on what y'all do up there?
Yeah, I work for the Grand River Dam Authority in Miami, Oklahoma, on the Neosho River. We manage about 3,500 acres of river bottom up there and do a number of things, but like
you guys do a lot up there.
Oh, it's crazy. It ranges from what all we do, but the main goal is managing that property for deer, turkeys, and waterfowl. And we do draw hunts each year, and people get to come out and hunt for 4 days at a time. But like that's what my job is managing that property, and I love it. Like I get to do so much more at work than I do at home.
Yeah.
Just because I have all the equipment, I have all the, other help that I need and everything like that.
And if something breaks, it's not on your tab, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
No, so where you live and kind of where you manage, you know, I've interned up there where you work for a couple summers, and the difference that I've seen is like it can get pretty wet up there. So like, are there different types of challenges, or do you guys do different, I guess, plan or just implement different methods in general, you know, versus where you work at GRDA versus your home?
yeah, that's what I was actually on the phone with a buddy yesterday talking about. We've already done one burn this year, and he's like, "Man, that's awful early." I was like,
Yeah.
"It is, but up there on that river bottom, like you got to take what you can get. Like it's dry enough to burn right now, we're burning, you know, because your typical burn times March, April. On the river bottom, March and April, you're lucky to get around just because it's so wet. up
Burning
there.
in 2 inches of water,
Oh,
standing
dude.
water.
Dude, that's basically what you're trying to do.
They
at
literally
that
have
time.
a John or a little old flat bottom boat out there that they take sometimes to check different things if it gets too flooded.
Oh yeah,
It's pretty neat setup they got over there.
it's cool.
Do you guys rotational burn, like a third every year or a quarter, or what do you guys try to do?
Yeah, like we have that property is broke down into 5 different hunt units, and like we'll try to burn certain parts of each unit each year if we can. But there's years where we can't even get a single burn done. Just the burn window doesn't match up with the weather and everything. But yeah, like we'll try to, like last year we burned like 16 acres of this old fallow farm field that's grown up in 15-foot tall saplings. Like we burned that section of it last year. This year we plan on burning the mature timber on that place just to clear the leaf litter and everything out. Mm-hmm. And that leaf litter hasn't been burned since 22, I think. So like it all, weather's the main factor, but we try to rotate it. We're not going to burn the same thing every year. Like, you know what I mean? We're going to probably burn the same properties every year, but different parts of them, trying to achieve different things.
You've been there for how many years?
March will be 10 years.
10 years. So have you guys seen maybe a progression of quality in deer? And has any of your tactics or I guess methods changed from when you first started to what you're all doing now?
Yeah, I think we've seen the difference in quality. Which there's the outlier, that buck that was there when I first came on as an intern, 219 inches or whatever he was.
I think I remember that. Tell that story.
Oh, dude. So it's like middle to the end of October, and I'm on this property. And this is my first year I've been up there. I've been there since March, so I've been there a few months, but I'm brush hogging roads on this place. And I come around this corner, and like it's grown up saplings. Like the tractor barely and brush hog barely fits down this old road. And mowing along, and I look up, and I just see this buck crashing through those saplings, and I'm like, he's got like a stick stuck in his horns. He's got something going on, and he crosses the road in front of me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a drop tine. Like that's not stuff stuck in his horns. I instantly call my dad. I was like, Dad, I just saw a 200 incher. Like, hands down, biggest deer I've ever laid my eyes on. He's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah,
Didn't believe you?
maybe, whatever. And I get back and I tell my boss, I was like, we have to buy trail cameras. Like, we weren't even, like, it was the year before we were even doing the draw hunts. Like, we're just trying to get this stuff. Because they had bought that in 07, and it had just laid there for 10 years without having anything done to it. So it was growing up like crazy. So we're just trying to get it where you can even drive through the place. Mm-hmm. But we go and buy a trail camera and set it up around where I jumped that deer, and dude, it was nuts. That deer had like a 10 or 11 inch drop tine on one side, Fort G2s, giant G3s. He was humongous. He ended up getting killed that same fall, the last evening of rifle season. The neighbor killed him.
Really?
Yep.
And you got him officially scored and stuff?
Yep. It was like I could be wrong. It was either 212 or 219, something like that. I don't remember, but
Really wide.
no, super tall and heavy. He had like no eye guards whatsoever.
Well,
Dang
that's
it.
common.
I'd probably pass. Yeah. Dude,
But,
that's crazy.
Dude, it was nuts.
Did you guys end up getting any pictures of him after you got really?
Yep, we had it, and I've got them on my work computer, but dude, he was huge. Just unreal how that drop tine is just huge, and then his G2s are so long.
Did you start bringing your your bow and the tractor as well? You gotta be fresh off your
No,
roads?
I wish.
Have you had any since then that kind of match that?
There's not been anything that big. I think you might have been up there. Were you up there whenever we had that deer with all the junk that was on Unit 4?
I don't think so.
There was a buck that showed up on Unit 4 a couple years ago just during the rut. And
Dude, you got to keep in mind, I couldn't even wear the same shoes. some
that's
days.
true. I looked whenever I got here to make sure you had the same shoes on. But, man, that buck that showed up over there was, to my knowledge, no one's killed him, but he had to be in the 180s. He was...
You found a shed off
Stupid.
one that was really big, didn't you?
Dude, yeah, that shed, I think it was 89, almost 90 inches. And that buck was actually found locked with another buck the next year. And the neighbor, like, the big deer was dead, and this, like, 140 incher was dragging him around. And the neighbor was able to shoot the tine off that smaller deer and kept the head off the giant. And I got to see that deer in person and score it.
You got to match up the shed and everything.
Yep. And I don't know if it's true or not, but supposedly a different neighbor has the matching side to the one that I found. But man, that thing was so chewed up. Like, I found it February 20th or something, and it was just like almost chewed through in a few spots. Heartbreaking.
That's probably why you like burning so much down there, because you guys have a
dude.
room full of sheds and deadheads.
We do. Which I don't know if you've been back in there since we made our, like, that little shelf that we have all the deadheads on. We made it like
no.
a lot bigger. And
Yeah, I haven't been in there in like probably five years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, when you talked about they bought it in 07 and they were like kind of left it for like 10 years, and then whoop-de-doo, you drive in there and there's a 200-inch deer. To me, I'm like, bing, 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 what's going on there? You talk about the properties that aren't being managed. So you basically had one giant sanctuary that was untouched for a decade.
Well, it wasn't supposed to be touched. Like, there was 4-wheeler trails and stuff through there. I'm
Yeah.
sure people was hunting it, but in the grand scheme of things, no, not really. Like, no pressure on it, and it's just grown up, woolly, nasty stuff. And there was another.
Just that way I don't lose my train of thought. So where you seen that 219 incher, how much land was around there that was untouched?
I think the property that we own right there is like 450 or 60 acres.
So what you're saying is about 400 acres could potentially grow a 200 incher.
I believe that, yeah.
Now we just need 400 acres.
Untouched for a decade. Well, you're talking about like the limited resources in the area. You said at your place you have 20 people hunting along one creek line, and then if one buck finds, I think a buck could find 20 acres and live his whole life if it was the right 20 acres. You know, they find that spot that's not touched.
The last buck I killed back in 23, I hunted him forever and have shed hunted that place forever, and like, he was my main focus for 4 or 5 years, that deer. Never found a shed off of him. To this day, I couldn't tell you where that deer bedded. Like, I tried moving cameras, stands, everything. I don't know where that buck lived. I thought I knew where he lived.
Was that are you talking about that crazy flyer buck?
It has that flyer that kind of comes down off his base. Yep.
Tell the story on that one.
Oh, yeah. We'll be here for about 2 more hours.
That's
all
fine.
right.
That's good.
All right, so that buck, I named him Double D, was his name, because he had
You don't have to share the reason.
2
I'm
drop
just kidding.
tines. The first year we saw him, he had 2 drop tines. And the first year he showed up on camera, he looked like a mature deer, and we didn't even... Well, no, I take that back. Now that I went back and looked through pictures, we had one picture of him the year before as a 5x5 that we didn't think anything of. But then he he must have got hurt or something because he'd always had a split in his ear, and you could tell it was the same buck the next year. But he was like a mainframe 7-point with 2 drop tines. And I was like, man, I hope I see that sucker. You know, I've never killed a deer with a drop tine. I'm shooting him. And one morning I'm late getting into my stand. It's breaking daylight. And it's about typical for me. I run late everywhere I go. So
Not today.
Hey, I was like 10 minutes early today. But so I'm like easing down through the pasture, and I see a buck with his nose down, just, you know, trotting through the pasture. I'm like, well, he's on a doe. It was like November 2nd or something. And get my binoculars on him, and it's just like forked horn. So I was like, all right, no big deal. So I'm walking down it's like a 50-yard wide tree row that comes and splits these 2 pastures. I'm walking down it, and the sun's like just starting to peek through the trees, you know. I'm walking west, the sun's behind me. And I see this throat patch just like shining about 100 yards west of me. I'm like, what in the world? And I kneel down. I was like, oh my gosh, that's that buck. So I'm just, don't even have my release on, stupidly. It's daylight. I'm walking into my stand. I should have it on. So I like kneel down, take my backpack off, get my release out, put it on, knock an arrow. Well, the buck that I'd seen trailing across the pasture was just one of the little satellite bucks that was with him. He comes and pushes this doe all the way back out to me, and he's got 3 other bucks behind him. He stops at my corn pile, which is 20 yards from my stand, and I'm thinking I'm about 20 yards this side of my stand. So I'm like, all right. Did not have a rangefinder. Why use a rangefinder whenever you can miss deer, you know, without
that's
knowing the distance?
Yeah, they get a year older and then they're bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, yeah, he's probably 40 yards. Kind of quartered to me. Boom, goes right between his legs. Like he's quartered and it goes right between his legs. And he just wheels out into the pasture. Doesn't know what happened. Mm-hmm. I snort wheeze at him, and he gets all bristled up and comes back to me. I'm like, oh, heck yeah, I get another arrow knocked. This time, again, I was like, I think he's about 40 yards. About a foot over his back. And he just, out of there. I was like, all right, this is stupid. I was so mad. I couldn't find either one of my arrows.
Of course.
Walked back to the truck, went to Atwoods, bought a rangefinder. Like literally by 8:30 that morning, I'm at Atwoods buying a rangefinder. I'm like, this is so dumb. But, man, in that following year, I had him on the radar, but there was another buck I hunted hard. And I was going to kill either one I saw, you know. And the other buck I was hunting pretty hard ended up getting killed like 3 or 4 miles away. And so I didn't have any other encounters with that buck the next year. So in 21, doing an all-day sit. It's like 8:30 in the morning, and I see a whole group of deer coming up the creek behind me. And it was one of those mornings in November where it's like dead calm, frosty. You exhale your breath and it kind of blows this way for a second, then it comes back this way. So your wind is nowhere and everywhere at the same time.
Yeah, whiskey wind.
Yeah. So these deer are like behind me. I'm like, all right, I'm good. They're going to work right up to me. They get 150 yards away and the doe starts blowing, and looked through my binoculars. I was like, oh yeah, there's double D in there with that group. And they blow up and leave. So I was like, all right, mess that one up. That same evening, I move about 200 yards from there to a different stand, and I have my decoy set up behind me. Well, I'm sitting there and it's like 4. I haven't seen anything. And I see this raccoon come walking down towards me. I'm like, I'm going to mess with this thing a little bit, whatever, you know. And I'm filming him on my phone, and he's starting to get right to the base of my tree. Then all of a sudden he jumps onto my tree and starts crawling up. And I'm like, that's weird. And I look over, and there's a doe, like, smelling my decoy. And then there's Double D at, like, 25 yards with his ears pinned back, just, like, coming on a string to my decoy. I'm like, what am I doing? I don't even have, like, my phone's in my hand. I'm trying to get clipped on the bag. Yeah. Luckily, it was on this time. But I get my bow down and everything, and he hasn't seen me or anything yet because he's looking at that decoy. I'm just knowing this doe is going to blow up because anytime I've had a deer actually like sniff my decoy, no matter how much stuff I spray on it, they freak out, you know. And somehow she's just still smelling of it. And here he is just coming right on a string. And I get drawn back on him, and he's at 20, quartered to me. And as I'm settling my pin on him, I had one of the, I can't remember what they're exactly called, but the peeps that have the little tube on them.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
The old school
The
peeps.
worst peep in the world, you mean?
Never again. Dude, I'm settling my pin on him, and that tube pops off. My peep goes whoop, sideways. I'm sitting there with my nose, with my tongue, trying to like straighten it back up. I'm just like trying to get it. Well, the doe starts freaking out a little bit. I've got a coon hanging off the side of my tree, not knowing what's going on. The buck starts getting a little spooky. Let my draw back down, get my peep all put back together. Well, by this time, there's a big fallen tree about 30 yards west of me. He's circling that fallen tree. Never could get another shot at him. So then that rifle season.
What were your initial thoughts after that? Were you just like, okay, I need a new bow? Or
Like jump out of the tree stand.
Facebook
yeah.
Marketplace and selling my stuff.
Dude,
Waterfowl hunting.
I was so frustrated. Yeah. Out of any time I shoot my bow, that never happens. And the time I have that buck at 25 yards, it happens.
What was he that year? Because you said you had in the previous year, and then that year was he similar?
No,
Still
that
double
year
D?
he was 5x5 again because he was like a 4x3. He got injured or something happened where he just went all crazy one year, and then from then on he was just symmetrical 10-point. He never threw another. Well, one year he threw a little bitty drop tine on one side, and then the year I killed him, he had taken a horn to the eye the year before, and it caused some crazy. He had a big kind of dagger coming off of his base. But the year that I had my peep come off, I'm rifle hunting a few weeks later, and it's back when I was trying to film and stuff, you know, and I have my tripod set up, my GoPro set up and everything, and I'd like just got set down, and I look over and I was like, oh, there's a doe. Get my camera, and I'm just sitting on the ground, you know, up this corner post, and get the doe in focus. I'm like, that's cool. And she kind of starts working towards me, and well, you know, he's right behind her. I'm like, oh gosh. And I'm trying to get to focus and trying to get to focus. I was like, I can't get to focus. I'm just gonna have to shoot him. I get turned over there. Well, by this time they've seen me. They know something's going on. They start skirting out of there, and I have one little gap in the trees. He's trotting through, and I shoot with my 270, and thought I heard it smack him. I had a neighbor text me like, dude, you smacked something. I was like, heck yeah.
It's pretty bad when your neighbors can hear if you hit the deer or
Oh,
not.
dude.
That's so annoying.
That's how it is. You're like, man, it sounds like you got that one.
Somebody just shot.
did you have any, like, I assume you were running cameras and stuff. Was he pretty frequent flyer on the cameras?
He was. He would show up every year, like about the 15th of October. He would start showing up.
And he would be there on, you know, the remainder of the year?
Mm-hmm. And there was, I wish I could remember the date. It would make my story a little more credible. But 2 years in a row, the same exact evening in muzzleloader season, he did the same thing, like exactly a year apart.
Really?
One evening, I sat there, not expecting to really even see him. He comes out checking does at like 200 yards. I wasn't going to take that shot with the muzzleloader. I was like, nah. The next year.
What? Don't be laughing at me.
No, just every single time someone like doesn't take a shot with the muzzleloader because it's too far, I always think of the story of Christian. We were hunting my grandparents in Ketchum, and he tried to, I think, take like a 400-yard shot with a muzzleloader. I don't
It was
know.
like almost 300. And what's so funny about that?
And he shot, and he was like, I don't think I hit it. And I was like, I don't think so either.
No, you said, where was it? And I said, by the pond. You're like, dude, that's like 400 yards.
Yeah. All you seen probably 50 yards in front of it was just dust, and you're just like,
I think I got her. I think I ricocheted her.
I'm sorry, but anyways, go ahead.
Well, that next year I sat in a different stand on the same evening, and I'm 200 yards south of him this time. I didn't have a stand in the right spot, but he did the same thing like 2 years in a row. And that third year, I told my dad, I'm like, he's going to come out here in this pasture this evening. He did it 2 years in a row. My dad went and hunted there that evening, and he didn't show up. So I was like, all right, at least my dad didn't kill him, you know?
Yeah.
But whenever I had shot and the neighbor told me it sounded like I got him, it was right before dark, and I go and look everywhere where I think he was and don't find anything. Gets dark, I'm sick, you know, and go home, wait till the next morning, go back out there. And I'm like lining it up where I'd rested on this gate to take the shot. And I'm like replaying through my head. I'm like, all right, he was in that gap right there. And I start walking that way. And there's a pecan tree. It's about that big around that comes up in forks. Had a bullet hole. Right where it forks, I smoked that pecan tree. And that's what the neighbor heard. Like, yeah, you smacked something. I'm like, yeah, I smacked that pecan tree.
Did you take a chainsaw and just cut out that piece? Or?
I should have. No, it's still there. But then the next year I had 2 more chances. Not really chances. I saw him 2 more times while I was hunting and never could get a shot. He was running. Or this one time, like I hunt both sides of the road in this one spot, and everybody's always seeing deer across the road right there. And one evening, or the evening before, I had seen that buck get up out of his bed over there while I'm hunting and couldn't get on him. He was with the doe. Well, that next evening, I'm sitting over there, and the landowner, who like might shoot a doe every 5 years or something, comes driving by, and his truck stops. I'm like, huh. Wonder, you know, did he break down? What's going on? Well, like 5 minutes later, that buck I'm after and a doe are just like running by me. Later on, I'm talking to him. I'm like, did you see that buck? He's like, oh yeah, dude. He's like, I was sitting there watching him for like 5 minutes. He kept trying to cross the road, but I'm just sitting there watching him, and he ran back the other way. I was like, oh, well, I think he would have just eased on through here if that hadn't happened, but it was all right. The next year, I'm sitting on that same property on the pond dam, opening morning of rifle season, and saw like 1 buck right at daylight, and then about 8:30 or so, I'm kind of facing this way, and I see something out of the corner of my eye, and I look over, and I was like, oh my gosh, there he is.
Double
D in the flesh.
Now, how big is he, you know, this next year?
The year that I missed him with, or not, I missed him with my bow once, well, twice that one year. But whenever my peep came apart, I think he was 160 probably as a 5x5. And then the next year when the landowner saw him from the road and that whole deal went down, was close to that, probably high 50s.
Now, how old do you think he is at this point?
When I kill him, I think he's 8.5. Maybe older. I should have brought his jawbone with me. Dude, that's the most worn down jawbone. It's crazy. But, yep, that opening morning of rifle season 23, he comes to about 100 yards, stops, looks at me. I was like, I think this is where it ends, right here. Put it to him. He ran about 50 yards and did a front flip. His horn stuck in the ground. He did a front flip.
Way.
I was like, oh, my luck, he just broke his G2s off or something, you know. But no, I got over there to him. Dude, it was just, I cried. Like, honestly, I cried. Said a prayer. Thank God for letting that all finally come together. Because, dude, like, that is the hardest I've ever hunted one deer. Hands down. And had so many things go wrong. So many stupid things go wrong.
Yeah,
like,
peep sight, no rangefinder, yeah.
Oh my gosh, shooting a tree. I mean,
Happens to the best of us, though.
it does. But that's the last buck I killed, and that was in 23. And before that, I hadn't killed one since 2017.
Really?
You need to start shooting some 80 inchers with us, man.
Dude, I know. Get my confidence built back up or something. But man, that's the thing. Like like me and Coy, we're talking about this. One of my buddies, we were talking about this the other day. Like, there's been so many times I could have shot 3 or 4 year old deer, and I didn't. And like, part of me wishes I would have, because I'm 30 years old now. I've been bow hunting for 15 or 16 years. I've killed like 6 bucks with my bow.
But those 6
they're good deer for the most part.
Good.
But like, I know how to kill them, but at the same time, like, if I would have killed 10 more of those 100 inchers, I would have way more experience. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've been in the situations where I could have killed them, but sitting there and like, oh, I could have killed that deer is different than actually drawing back and making the right shot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's something I've thought about, is like, I've been so hard on myself on trying to kill mature deer that I've robbed myself of being able to gain more experience in the actual killing of them. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't change anything, but at the same time, like, there's been a bunch of deer where I kind of like, man, that would have been 130 incher that I would have killed with my bow. That would have been cool. But I didn't. I was like, he'll be bigger next year. And then I never see the deer again, or
but
gets killed by the neighbor.
Yeah. I mean, I could see how that'd be bittersweet. I mean, not only passing them and then never seeing them again, but also just the full story of your 2023 buck just coming to an end. So whenever you're, in pursuit of probably a hit lister that you have, do you have any other ones that you're just like, if I see that one, I'm like, I'll probably punch my tag on them? Oh,
yeah, for sure. That's what I was showing Christian earlier, was I had one big 8-point I was after this year, but there was 3 other bucks on the place that were 6-year-old deer that were 110 inches. Yeah. And I would have just as happily shot one of them. I did not see a shooter from the stand this year, which I didn't. This is probably the least I've ever hunted in a year, but I still put in quite a bit of time. Like I could have killed 1,520 inchers. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's just not what gets me going. I have more fun sitting there watching those, video them on my phone or whatever, than I would actually killing that deer. Just because that's the way I've made myself be, is like age, and
will you pass mature deer if it doesn't like meet your standard?
Man, I don't think so. I think any mature deer that I've had a chance to kill, I take that back. There was one buck a few years ago that I thought was 4.5, but once we killed him the next year, he was probably 5.5, and he actually had went downhill. I could have killed that deer, I don't know how many times that year, but I was like, no, he ain't old enough. He ain't old enough. Mm-hmm. My dad was like, dude, he's old enough. You better hope I don't see him because he's dying, And I was like, no, he's going to blow up. And my dad finally saw him one day, and he's like, well, I ended up passing him, like you said. That deer, my sister ended up shooting him, actually. The year that she killed him, the neighbor had shot him in muzzleloader season, but it hit a tree as he was shooting him, and it just, like a bullet fragment.
Old tripoded him.
Dude, that deer went from, like, I could pull up some trail camera pictures. The biggest body deer we've ever had on camera was huge. Went from that to, like, skin and bone by rifle season in a month's time, just because it hobbled him so bad. But when my sister killed him, he's still out there chasing a doe, 3-legged, skinny as a rail, still weighed like almost 170 gutted, like, but was skinny. Like, this deer was over 200 pounds gutted by the boy. Oh, dude, he was huge. He was huge.
If you're the kind of hunter who's grinding all off season, looking for a big buck to chase in the fall, you already know that your gear better keep up. That's why we partnered with Numa Outdoors. Numa builds technical hunting apparel for serious whitetail hunters and big game hunters who demand performance. Their layering systems are built for the full season, from early bow season sweats to the late season sits when the wind is piercing. Make sure to go to newmountainoutdoors.com. Use code HA20 at checkout for 20% off, or you can check out the link below in the description.
With having, more of a mature age class, do you see like any of that bully buck type thing where if you take one out, some new ones tend to move in?
Not really. I mean, I know that there's bully bucks that I mean, you can call them bully bucks. There's a mature deer that is kind of running the show,
Mm-hmm.
Now that might be a mature forked horn, or it might be a mature 12 point.
Mm-hmm.
Like but like that's the thing too though. Like there's so many does in heat at the same time. That bully buck or that biggest mature deer isn't breeding all of them. Like what, I can't remember the exact data, but 20% of your does get bred by yearling bucks every year.
There's just too many does to go around.
Too many does, yeah.
Yeah.
And like the bully buck will make a difference though, especially like you're sitting on a food plot one evening and he's running off everything that comes in there. You know what I mean? So, but I don't know if that really plays. It probably plays some kind of part, but does that really run bucks off of your place?
I don't know.
Depends
how big your place is.
Yeah, true.
If it's a 40, yeah, probably.
Probably so. If you're like that's his main area is that 40 acres, then he probably is running other deer off of it.
Yeah. The only example that I know of is Christian and Peyton's lease down in southwest Oklahoma. They have like 110 acres there, and it seems like year after year, I've hunted it once and shot an 8-point on it, but the only reason that 8-point even started showing up was because Peyton killed one of the bigger, more mature, bigger bodied bucks there, and as soon as he killed that one, that 8-point started showing up very frequently. And I think there's another example too. I don't know if it was like the refrigerator or.
Yeah, in my experience there, it's just like on that 110, how it sets up and the bedding and everything and all the does, it's like you can hold 2 mature bucks. And it's like, it's usually the 2 crappiest ones that are there, like that one spot. I told you, showed you I shot. I'm like, why is this one here? And then you kill him and a 150-inch 10-point comes in and you're like, oh, okay. So I don't know. Yeah, I think that definitely happened. It's weird the social dynamics on them, though, that like they're like, hey, 2 per here, and I'm the big dog here until I die, and then you can come. But it's immediate though. It's like slots right back in behind the other one.
See, like I'm trying to think if we've had that happen before. I don't think we have, where like you kill one buck and then instantly you have a new deer show up. I can't think of instances of where that's happened.
Have you ever had does run bucks off? Because I've seen, especially at the 110 too, like most of them are like 2, sometimes 3-year-olds, but also I've heard stories. I forget who told this on the podcast before, but they actually had like one of those what do they call them, matriarch does or whatever, and that one would actually run kind of like 4 or 5-year-old bucks off of whether that be the food plot or whatever.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think shot. I've seen. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I don't think I've seen that happen on any of our stuff. I don't think so.
Do you feel like you guys have a lot of bucks because you're trying to shoot like for maturity or age class or a certain score that like you maybe have too many bucks?
Man, I really think that could be a problem. Like what I was telling you, that place had 15 3 or 4-year-old bucks, and I said it wouldn't hurt to kill a couple, and you said it wouldn't hurt to kill half of them. That's probably true. I mean, but like we've got so many does too, and like I'm slowly trying to bring my dad around to the idea, because he's still in the school of thought like more does equals more bucks, Yeah. Which I didn't do anything to kill any does this year. I killed 1 doe in Missouri. Could have filled my tags with does at home this year, and I didn't. But like, we need to kill more does. We've started slowly killing a few more the last couple of years, but there's one place we went 10 years without ever shooting a doe.
Yeah.
And which you think, well, there's not very many does here or whatever. I see the same 4 does and they're 6 fawns or whatever an evening. You know what I mean? But I think there's so many deer on a place that you don't ever see.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, buck, doe, whatever. Like, there's so many deer on a place that you think you have this place figured out, and No, I don't think so.
Or you assume it's the
especially-
same doe group, and it's like there was 3, and then you see your 3, and then they come out a different way. You're like, oh, those weren't the same 3. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of different ones. Well, we don't have down here too. Like I know a lot of people in the Midwest don't shoot a bunch of does, but they're like, hey, every 3rd year we get HD, and a 1/3 of our population is gone. Which like you guys don't have that sort of like mortality around here.
No, we don't. I think that it plays into us having a prolonged rut, though. Like, our rut is long. And especially, like, up there at work, it's crazy. It's 30 miles from here, 25 miles from here. But I promise, like, 15th to 20th of October, bucks are starting to chase up there. Not full on chase, but they are way more daylight activity, starting to cruise. And that won't happen here on my stuff till 25th, 26th, usually, you know, of October. But like, there's like almost a 10-day head start, just 25 miles.
Why do you think that is? There's more does up there.
There's more deer in general, I think, up there than there is here, which is hard to believe because there's deer everywhere here, you know. But I don't know really what the answer is to that, but I think it could be there's just more deer. But like I was saying, like having a prolonged rut, like that's hard on those bucks. I mean, I saw a buck chasing it was a doe fawn, but like 4 days ago, there's a buck chasing a doe fawn, which, you know, they say those doe fawns come in late, mid to late December or whatever, and are in for a month or whatever. But a few years ago, I'm hunting in the middle of October, and doe walks under me with a spotted fawn on her. I'm like,
In October?
middle of October. I was like, this ain't right.
Yeah.
Now, it was a very old doe, and that could have just been her cycles messed up because she's 10 years old or whatever, you know, and didn't cycle with the rest of them. But, like, you start running into problems like that whenever your bucks, which I'd say your bucks are spread thin, but whenever your rut is drawn out that long with that many deer, you know, I think you start running into problems like that.
There's biologists that go through the numbers and the data, but for your personal opinion, is there anything you would change about the Oklahoma regulations or seasons, like rifle season here, or maybe the 2 buck to 1 buck? What's your whole take on all that?
Oh, man, I have put thought into this. I haven't put, like, a ton of thought into this. I like the idea of the 1 buck rule in the thought that, like, well, that'll make us more like Kansas or like, you know what I mean? That'll help the age class. But we're already way ahead of where we were even 10 years ago on deer management in Oklahoma. Like, our age class is starting to get better.
Yeah.
We've had the genetics, evidently, because, I mean, there's, I don't know how many 200 inchers killed in Oklahoma every year now. Like,
Oh,
you know what I
like-
mean? It's a normal thing now to have a 200 incher killed in Oklahoma.
Absolutely.
But, like, you know, there's one of those pages on Facebook that say, like, get guns out of November and stuff like that.
Oklahoma, what's it called?
Deer
managers.
managers.
Yeah.
And, like, I can agree with that to an extent. But at the same time, the last few bucks I've killed, that's the only way I've done it was with a gun in November. You know what I mean? Now, I've killed mature deer doing that.
Not everybody has your standards either in gun season.
True.
Yeah.
True. But, like, I don't, man, it's so hard to,
You'd almost be messing up tradition in a way, because
Oh,
that's like
definitely.
right Thanksgiving, everybody's off work. But then again, you have like a double-edged sword there too, because it's not just like one gun season. You have gun and then you have black powder.
yep.
And so those are kind of like the 2 best times, because that's honestly when it starts dropping. It sounds bad, but here in the South, it's like it actually feels good. And it's like dropping like in the 70s, you know, most days, instead of being 87 degrees.
Yep. Which I love muzzleloader season. Like, I love that time. I hate muzzleloaders,
Me too.
but I
It
love,
sounds like you have a story behind that one.
I just hate them, dude. They're so finicky. Like, I had to shoot my muzzleloader like 15 times this year to get it on the paper. I was like,
You
that's
sure
fun.
it ain't user error? Or?
It could be. I don't know. Like, dude, that was rough. But I don't know what the answer is. I like to think I would be fine with going to $1, but like we've talked about, like there's so many bucks already. I mean, there's deer that die of old age right now, but there's going to be way more of them. But who's to say that anyone's even going to follow these regulations?
Yeah.
My honest opinion is like for us to make any impact on game laws, the herd health statewide, management, age class, all of that, is we need to go back to having check-in stations. That keeps people honest, at least for the most part.
At least the people that are going to be honest.
The people that are going to... There's always going to be people that are going to be people that poach.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I could go shoot a buck and check it in. Oh, yeah, I shot a doe online, whatever. And unless there's some reason you've thrown a red flag or someone hears something and the game warden actually comes out there, you're not getting checked. You're go out there and shoot you another buck, check it in as a doe. Then maybe if by the third buck you killed that year is actually a good one or the one you're after, hey, here's my buck tag, you know? Like, I just think that the check-in stations, I know it's a pain in the butt and you gotta drive somewhere.
Yeah.
Wait in line, whatever. But like, I think that people would follow the rules a little better if they had to go actually check their deer in. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. What's y'all's thoughts on check stations and versus online?
Well, the online stuff could be about the most abused tool in the world. But I liked the check-in station because it was like the donut shop or the coffee shop where you're like, let's go see someone who's gonna have a good one in here. I think it's just fun. They
had the Polaroid pictures on the wall of the best deer killed and stuff. Yeah, I loved it.
Well, I remember seeing 140s at the check-in station, like on the Polaroids, and I'm like, that dude killed a freaking monster. I think deer management can't be managed very well at a state level. I think it's like impossible. I think it has to be regional or county level. That's my general thoughts on deer management.
See, and my brother-in-law down there in Texas, like, their bucks, like their tags or limits are regulated by the county. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which you hunt in Texas now, I forget that. But or live in Texas. But like what? It's a $1 or a $2 county or
I think some maybe even be 3, and your does are different per county, and then you have like some part of the state has a spread limit, some parts don't.
How well do you think that works though? Because if Oklahoma did it, I mean, I know Texas is huge, and so it's probably just as diverse as Oklahoma, but Oklahoma's crazy diverse for how big it is.
That's why it needs to be managed that way though, because you can't put the same limits on Western Oklahoma where the mature bucks maybe be 3 times the amount that we have around here, like.
Could you do it do the 1 or 2 buck counties based off like average land holdings? Do you think that would kind of simplify things?
I think you need to. This is maybe controversial. I think you need to implement widespread thermal drone surveys on a county level, not by individuals, by like resources from the state, and find out your actual population. Because you see somebody estimate the population of a county, it could be between 50 and 100,000. It's like, well, cool, yeah, and I can do that math.
Yeah,
like, is it actually 48 or is it 92? Because that's different, and that helps you help your doe harvest quantities that you need, your bucks. Like, you could generalize, like, okay, this is how many we think we have in this age class and this age class and this age class. I think you got to get a little more. We're doing the best you can at a giant level, right?
We are, and like that's the thing. Like, that takes a lot of money.
Yeah.
To fund that kind of research.
I mean, we just now jacked up the non-resident prices, so that helps.
We're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, for you to be able to do that kind of research, that's going to be expensive. Now, I think that would be great if we did that, because if you could actually manage, like, Craig County's a 2-buck county, Ottawa's a 1, or like whatever, and you could probably start make a big impact on.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Age class.
And I know that I was talking to a buddy who works for ODWC, and he was like, if you look at states like ODWC or Oklahoma versus Arkansas, ODWC is one of the least funded wildlife programs like in the country. It's really bad.
It's crazy.
It's really bad. Yeah. He said like some of these 20,000 acre WMAs, their budget's like $20,000 or $30,000 a year to manage. It'd be hard to manage 1,000 acres with $10,000,
Dude.
you know?
So what would need to change if that's the case? Like, what is
more
Arkansas
money.
doing versus Oklahoma? Like, how are they allocating that funds? Is it just on a state government level, or is it?
I don't know. I don't know if I hate to say the answer to anything is tax people more, because that sucks, but there should be some sort of like, I think there should be like voluntary fund, and there might already be where you could donate to conservation and
Yeah, they ask you every single time you put in for the draws. They're like, "You want to
a little
donate?"
$5,
I'm like, no.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I need
So,
that $5. I'm the same way. Man, I don't know. It's if you could something I've thought about doing after going to that deer steward course last summer and learning a bunch and talking to other people down there. Like, there's people from, I can't remember, I think one guy was from Wisconsin. A couple of people that I talked to that have put together like a county-wide deer cooperative. And that's something I've thought about trying to do.
What does that entail?
Just like try to get everybody on the same page on like a management idea. And
QDM used to have those too. I think.
yeah. Yeah. And like, say, let's get 10 people together and we'll go burn your property this weekend, or go cut a bunch of cedar trees down, or like you just kind of all work together and kind of share equipment and share ideas. And I mean, I think it's a cool idea. And if you could get a lot of people on the same page doing that, then I think it'd be very beneficial.
That'd be a pretty good idea, just because, I mean, it would help maybe some people who don't have certain equipment or knowledge.
Exactly.
And do all that, because, like, you spoke highly of, like, the prescribed burn, dude. Fire scares the living tar out of me.
Yeah.
Like, if I go to try to set something on fire, I'm like, you better pray for the neighbor's cows. Like,
Pre-call the fire department.
Yeah, I have Justin on the phone, like, all right, you have water in your truck yet? Like, get it going. But no.
I think the deer cooperative thing would be cool. I don't know the first step to even make on trying to make that happen. And I don't even know how it would be accepted, like if people would actually join it, or, you know, because like what Jake was saying, there's probably a lot of people that want to manage their property better but don't really know where to start. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying I'm a wizard or anything.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot I don't know, but
Yeah.
I could help people in some ways. And there's buddies that I have or other people that I know that could help in other ways, you know, like.
Well, people, I think, whether they want to admit it or not, everybody has the same goal. Everybody wants to shoot a big buck. Mm-hmm. And it's like, how do we do the most of that? And that's going to be tough, because mature bucks, at least, are a limited resource. And it's like, everybody wants one. And like, but, well, I don't have one on my place. But if everybody worked together, we could have more and more of those. Now, the issue with that is
It doesn't fix mindset.
it doesn't fix like cultural stuff, or, you know, if my neighbor shoots this, I go without, that sort of thing. And I think that's what you're talking about. Like, over the last decade, it's got better. You can't look at it as like this year or that year. It's like, in 10 years, are we shooting bucks that are 5 inches bigger on average, you know?
Yeah,
That sort of thing.
I would like to think that we are. I mean, you see pictures all the time, or just go up to the taxidermist or whatever, and like, that deer's from Oklahoma, like, holy moly. There's a deer in there right now that I haven't got to put my hands on yet. I've seen pictures of, that's supposedly 175-inch 8-point.
Is it off a spur range?
Oh, is it that younger
The
kid?
younger kid out western Oklahoma somewhere.
Oh, really?
Dude, it is nuts.
I brought a 162 to Jared, and I was like, this is going to be one of the bigger bucks in here. And I set it on the rack, and I was like, it may be. And then he's like, oh, let me show you the big buck room. And then he opened up the room, and there was like 15 over 170. I was like, piss on this room.
This room out here is way cooler.
Yeah. Over here I'm at the top of the B League over here. Dude,
Well,
he had a whole room full of them.
speaking on like different regions, what, like, between southeast, you know, with a lot of rain they get, more mountainous, kind of leads into Arkansas, and then southwest, bigger land holdings, but it's a little bit more of that arid, less rain. So, I mean, you know better than anybody, like, antler potential has a lot to do with, you know, obviously age, but the nutrition that they're getting as well. Which region in Oklahoma do you feel like has the best potential?
I always hear of giant deer coming from west of I-35. Like, I don't know why. I think there's a lot more ag out there. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Maybe it's just a better baseline genetics out there or what. But like, see, I've been through Southwest Oklahoma. I've never spent any time down there. I went to Southeast Oklahoma and for the first time and saw what that whole ecosystem's like down there. And it's crazy. Like, kudos to whoever hunts down there because that looks tough.
It's different, isn't it?
Oh my gosh,
look.
dude.
It's like otherworldly. It's different.
It is.
It's weird because, like, it's literally the antlers get big, but the bodies are the size of my golden doodle out there. And it's like, that's a pretty cool combo, especially on public land, because it's like I can throw this thing over my shoulders. And it scores like 140. This is awesome, man.
But there's not many of them.
Yeah, that's true.
There's not many.
Which I think in that region, even if you cross the line into Arkansas, like, there's more big deer that die of old age than get killed. Like,
in the mountains.
yes. That's my thought of very outside perspective.
No, that's what the biologist actually said down there years ago. I think before he retired, that's what he said. He was like, most deer around here die of old age rather than actually getting shot.
Yep.
If you shoot a buck down there, like Jared pulls those jaws over there, and he always texts them on Facebook what they are, and every one of them he's like, this is 7.5. Like, every buck, you see a good buck, it's 7.5, 8 years old down there.
That's nuts.
It's really cool, but I mean, they're super hard to hunt down there. They're really hard to hunt.
Yeah, it's like your mindset has to shift. It's like, okay, I'm not going to see probably anything in like 4 or 5 days unless you just get lucky. But when you do hear those leaves crunching or something, it's like it could be this or it could be this, and it's like makes it well worth it.
I think this region has some of the best potential in the state.
I think so too. Because
I really do.
We have ag, we have the rainfall,
Green country.
Yeah,
It's just so dang segmented. Like,
it is.
one example we talk about quite a bit, and I don't know if it hurts to name drop this, but like that Spur Ranch, there's I don't know how many acres there, but it's a lot bigger. But you can definitely see the potential, because that's what immediately when you said 160-inch 8-point, that's what I thought, because I know Jared's had a couple of those in there from that ranch, and it's like that could be everywhere around here. It's just segmented.
It could be, but like from one end of our county to the other, from the east to the west side of our county, is very diverse.
That's true.
Like, you go from, well, it'd be Creek Bottom, kind of the northeastern part of the county, Creek Bottom's couple hills, to the northwestern and western part of the county, which is Centralia. Like, that's a completely different animal than north of Veneta. Like, you know what I mean? East of Veneta, south of Veneta, even down along Cabin Creek. Like, that's
Very different. Very heavily wooded.
Yes,
Yeah.
completely different ecosystem. And those deer out there live in that blue stem. Like, there's timber out there, but not much of it. And like, Will lives out there on that big ranch, and it's crazy the amount of big deer that you'll just be driving along or sitting. I've hunted out there with him a bunch, and buck will just appear up out of the blue stem, just come walking in there too, and you're like, there ain't a thicket out there. There ain't any brush out there. That deer's just beds in that blue stem out there.
So basically what you're saying is get every permission piece and the blue stem that you can.
Exactly.
Buy the whole county. That's what you do.
You mentioned earlier about hunting Missouri. That was your first go, wasn't it?
No, this was our second year, but man, we try to go up there. Their season opens the 15th of September, and we try to get up there opening weekend. Dude, it's miserable.
It's hot.
It is hot. And last year, or no, I guess it'd be 2 years ago now when we went, we're just looking on a map at like, where's the most public ground in one place, you know? And it's going to be core ground along those lakes and stuff, you know? And that's where we went. And 2 days of sweating your butt off and getting your butt kicked, we're like, let's go look at a different spot. So we went to a different spot, just a little bitty piece of ground, and that was on a Sunday evening. I almost killed a buck walking to the truck. Like, it was getting dark, and I'm walking across same type country as out there in Centralia, this big blue stem open stuff, and had a buck come up on me before I could even get drawn on him. and almost made it happen accidentally. And then this year we went to
Did
a
you
different.
have your release on you?
I did.
Good. Yeah.
Good
I
buck?
actually, he wasn't a giant, but he was 120 inches. I would have
Got smacked.
killed him all day long on public ground. And I'm walking to the truck, and I was like, oh, it's still shooting light, but I want to kind of see what this place looks like a little better on my way to the truck. Had about a mile walk. And I'm easing along, and I'm finding, like, there's little saplings out through this grass. I'm finding rubs here and rubs there. I'm like, this is cool. And I look up, and it was like right as that buck stood up out of his bed. I'm like, oh, shoot. I was like, he's about 60 yards. I range a little sumac thicket that's at 18. I was like, perfect. He somehow didn't see me walking through there.
He was at 18 yards?
No, he was at 60.
Oh.
I thought.
Yeah.
I watch him, when they stand up and they stretch. And I was like, oh, dude, this is perfect. I just knelt down. I had an arrow knocked already because I was thinking something might magically happen like that on the last, day of our hunt. And I kneeled down. And the time it took me to kneel down, range that, put my rangefinder back down, clip my release on, I look up and he's at that sumac thicket looking at me. He was at like 30. Not 60, but it was starting to get dark and my depth perception was way off. And I was like, I got plenty of time. If I would have just knelt down and drew.
Done deal.
Oh, but I was like, I need to check everything. Ran off through there. We haven't hunted that place since. We went to a different spot this year. I don't know why. I mean, hunt there one day and almost kill a buck. But the place we went and hunted this year, I actually went and bought a boat, so we were able to access a lot more stuff. And it is so cool looking up there. Like, that is some pretty country. And ended up shooting a doe. First deer I've ever killed on public land. Actually cried whenever I shot that doe. Like, it's
That's awesome.
dude, like, I was so pumped. Like, I FaceTimed my wife. She's like, are you okay? I'm like shaking, about to fall out of my tree.
Was that a hunt where you took the boat in?
Mm-hmm.
So you were able to load her up on the boat and like, dude,
it was so cool.
Yeah. But
we had same thing, went to the place where we did the year before and got our butt kicked and spent like 2 days there driving up down that river trying to find stuff, and it was just 6 foot tall cockaburs, and like, it was great spot, I'm sure, in November, but whenever everything's still green and growing, you can't see anything,
Mm-hmm.
So we just moved to a completely different area and really liked what we saw. And I hunted a little bitty pinch point where it was private pasture, and it dropped down this hillside to probably 100-yard wide stretch of timber along the lake. I'm like, they got a funnel right here, and got set up right at daylight. And this big group of does comes walking through. I'd already called Will. I was like, I don't know if we're going to see much. It already got up to like 70 degrees, at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm like,
that's lovely.
oh, dude. I was like, I don't think we're going to see much. We can just go scout some other stuff, and we still had like 2 days left to hunt. And what do you know, this whole big group of does comes through. And the biggest doe in the group, like, I was already starting to pack my stuff up. And I have to get an arrow knocked and stuff, and I couldn't get on her. But the one doe that hung around the longest, I was like, yeah, you're gonna die,
Mm-hmm.
I get drawn back on her, and there's one limb kind of right in the way. And I was like, lean up as high as I can. I was like, I hope I don't hit that limb. 18 yards, just, dude. And this is the first year I've shot those. Well, the first deer I've shot with, they're called Tooth of the Arrow, 150 grain broadheads.
Yeah. Fixed blade or single bevel or what?
Fixed blade. They've got 4 blades on them. Dude, I heard her die. Like, dude, it was so quick. She didn't make it 30 yards, but I call Will, after talking to my wife, I call Will. I was like, dude, I just smoked a doe. He's like, all right, I'll pull back over there. I just stayed in my tree, and he's walking to me. He's like, I can see you're laying right over here. And I was like, you're darn right. But it was crazy. Like, for the first 5 or 10 yards, there was like no blood.
Yeah.
And I could see her laying dead. I'm like, this makes no sense, you know? And about halfway there is whenever she really started bleeding. But I kind of hit her a little bit high lung. But,
Full pass through.
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We shoot those single bevels and like the little heavier 125, 150. He shot up to like a 200. And they don't bleed in the first 10 yards.
Dude, it's
They
crazy.
just
That's the
don't.
first year I've ever shot with something like that.
Yeah.
But they blow through, so you would think they would.
Well, I don't even blood trail them because if you hit them right, you just watch them fall. You're like, sweet. And you just go pick up your arrow, you know? That
Yeah,
sort
until
of
they
thing.
get lost in all that tall grass, and you're just like, oh no.
I can aim, but I will aim closer to the shoulder now shooting something like that where I'm like, I'm going to hit you. If I hit you where I'm aiming, I ain't blood trailing. You're
That's
done.
my idea with shooting that heavier broadhead and that style of broadhead is like, I'm gonna put it through a shoulder blade. Like I don't care. It's not like I shoot a crazy heavy draw weight or anything either. I'm shooting like 58 pounds. I
Oh,
think.
really?
Mm-hmm.
How heavy is the arrow setup?
Man, I honestly haven't weighed it. I don't know.
What's your draw length?
28 and a half.
Okay, so he's probably still in the 400s even with a 50 grain.
Do you have a 125 grain?
150 grain
150.
broadhead.
Yeah, he's still in the fours.
He's
For
probably
sure.
high fours, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it, man. And I started shooting those AAE max fletchings with the max left helical.
Do you fletch your own arrows?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
My wife does it. She's better at it.
Oh,
than I am.
actually?
Oh, dude.
That's cool.
I can't. She's
Yeah.
way more precise with everything. Oh, dude, I'm just like, it's crooked. But no, she can do it. Yeah, I bought
Flying
one of those
sideways.
little Fletchers and stuff. But
So when you're up there in Missouri, like, what are you looking for? Like, what are you specifically keen in on?
man, in that time of year, from what research I've been trying to do and stuff, is like those deer, September, the acorns are falling like crazy. And that's what we're trying to key on, which is not like we've had much success. I've shot one doe, but we've found all kinds of signs. We just haven't been able to dedicate enough time, like 4 days.
It's hard to like learn, get in, and then get it done. Like that's
It's
asking a
tough.
lot.
That's why, like, kudos to any person that draws in up there at my work and can kill a deer in 4 days. I can't kill a deer in 4 years on private
Yeah.
property. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
You don't know if you're doing the right thing too on public because you're like, well, if the weather switches, is there going to be deer in here all the time? And so you might be hunting a spot that on a cold front, there's deer in here and they just don't get out of bed until dark or
Yeah.
right before dark. It's tough to put the pieces together.
it is, which, man, it's so cool, though. Like, the coolest thing to me is just, like, getting to hunt somewhere different, you know? Like, because I've hunted the same 2 or 3 properties my whole life. So, like, getting to go somewhere different is awesome.
Sharpens the sword. Do you want to do any other stuff or like just kind of focus on Missouri for the next few years?
Man, I've said for 10 years now that I was going to put in for Kansas, and I never have.
You go up there and shed hunt though, don't you?
Yeah, I go shed hunt up there, but I think I'm going to bite the bullet and do it this year. I don't know. My
By
whole
yourself
goal,
or with someone else?
I'd like to go if I can get Will talked into going, or if you guys are putting in again, or
I'm putting in for Kansas.
you're
Yeah.
putting in for
Yeah.
Kansas.
We'll talk about like the units and stuff because like I don't want to drive that far. Like they went up to northern Kansas last year,
It was terrible.
2 years ago, and it's like I like the spot we hunted 3 or 4 years ago. From my driveway to a parking lot where I park, it's 52 minutes, and I'm like, you can't really beat that.
That ain't bad. You were saying your
awesome.
goal though. What was your goal?
Just
You're talking about your goal in Kansas, I think, or out of state.
yeah. My bad. From going up there and knocking on doors, like I've just tried to get shed hunting permission, and I've only been able to do it at a couple places. Like people are,
They love their deer.
oh man, or they're like, well, this guy leases it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, I'm not trying to hunt it. I just want to go out here and it's March. I want to pick up some horns. But my goal was to find places I could shed hunt and then work my way into like, hey, mind if I bow hunt? Hasn't worked.
Worth a shot.
It was a good
Worth
thought.
shot, yeah. But man, there's a place up there that this lady owns that she lets me shed hunt. It's a 160 acre piece, but it's like a little slice of whitetail heaven. It's
Really?
crazy, dude. Like 2 creeks come together, farm ground. It's nuts.
You found some good sheds?
Nothing just crazy, but no one had ever really shed hunted it. And that first year I went in there, I went 2 trips and picked up 30 something horns. Like, it was nuts. Like, I was like spoiled. I'm like, it's going to be crazy like this every year. And then picked up like 8 the next year, and then picked up 1 last year. But she had it logged, and those loggers were probably
Scooping them
as well.
picking them up as well. But yeah, that place is awesome. And it's an hour from the house,
Did you find any good sheds while you're up there?
Yeah, I found it was a set, but the brow tine's 11 inches.
Oh.
Ooh.
The G2's 11 inches, and the G3 is like 9. And then the right side chewed off. But you can tell, it's 100% a match.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, man, that eye guard is crazy. That's the tallest eye guard I've ever
So
seen.
pushing 150-inch 8-point, probably?
Oh, yeah. I found, and then that first year I was up there, I found a deadhead and 3 years of sheds off of that deadhead.
Poor
I didn't
guy.
find match sets, but like that deer lived and died on that place. It was crazy. He's 110-inch, just super heavy 8-point with some junk that just all his sheds, his deadhead was there. I found a couple other good ones, but man, the biggest shed I found in Kansas was back in 2020, I think, just on some public stuff. And it was a year or two old. I just happened to see, there's literally a hang-on stand in a tree, and about 20 yards away, I see these tines sticking up through the grass. And I was like, no way, how's no one seen this? I
This
pick
guy's
it
setting a
up.
trap.
I was like, oh my gosh. Like, it was 70 inches or so, a little bit better. I don't remember exactly. I have it written on there what I scored it at, but just a giant 5-point side. And then went back there the next year, and they had dozed like almost that whole place where it was just pasture. I was like, that sucks.
Dude, there's plenty of pasture for sale. It's like, don't make your own pasture. Go buy a pasture. It makes me so sad on that.
Yeah, it is.
You go do the walk-in program up there, and like half of it's like bulldozed pasture, and you're like, frick. It's
Yep.
tough.
That's what I've thought I would probably try to hunt, is just some of that walk-in stuff up there. But now that I have a boat, I might try to go somewhere where I can use a boat to access,
There are a couple pieces up there, and one of the units we hunted where it was like, I think it was on a lake, but there was a little sliver around the lake, and when you walked up there and around, it's like it was just bedding on the left, and then it was just nothing but beans all around. And I tried to kayak with, obviously, camera gear, big old rubber boots, which was very stupid, by the way. But yeah, after it's all said and done with all the gear, trying to go there, I was about that much above the water. And to make it even worse, there's a whole bunch of those submerged trees sticking up.
Dude.
And it was night, like in the morning, and I was just paddling through, and all of a sudden it kind of shift, and I was like, oh my God, it's the scariest thing. So just, I want to preference that for anyone listening. Like, don't be an idiot, get a better boat.
Well, don't be an idiot and do what me and Will did in Missouri this year. We were on that lake. We'd ran a little bit of it in the boat, but the morning I killed that doe, we wanted to push further down lake to stuff we hadn't been to in the daylight yet. Dude, it was just like God was watching over us that morning. Like, could have died.
Really? Like with stumps and stuff, or
Stumps. We had no idea this lake had stumps in it. Cruising along 40 mile an hour.
what? Oh, no.
That ain't cruising, that's hauling.
Dude. And like, we're talking, and like, we have our headlamps on. You can see a
6
little
feet
bit
in front
yeah.
of you.
But we're both like, was that a bird? What was that? Like, we saw something. And Will was driving. He's driven a boat way more than I have. I'm like, you can drive the boat, dude. Like, but come around that bend, and we saw what we thought was a bird. We're like, man, that was weird. So he kills it down to an idol, and dude, it's just a stump field, just everywhere. Like, I don't know how, and we'd already driven through 100 yards of them that we just somehow didn't hit any of them, and then we had to idle like a mile back in there, and still you're just like, boom, hit a stump here, and boom, hit a stump there. I don't know how we didn't kill ourselves that morning. It was crazy.
No thanks. What kind of boat do you have?
I have
A little John boat?
it's an aluminum. How can I not think of it? Express. It's an Express 18-footer.
Okay.
So it's a pretty good
That's
size.
a real boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
That's spooky stuff. Just kind of put a bow on the management stuff. Is there anything at work or on y'all's personal property that you're wanting to implement or try out?
That you haven't been able to do yet?
I want to do a lot more timber stand improvement, like selective cutting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of some of the less desirable trees, like especially on the stuff that I hunt, like that lease I was telling you we picked up this year. It's covered in trees, but like 70% of them are either elm or winged elm, and you're not getting any benefit out of those.
Mm-hmm.
You can by hinge cutting them, and they'll eat the new sprouts that come up and stuff. But like, I want to do some of that at home. I'd like to burn some of that stuff, but I doubt we get the go ahead from the landowner to actually do that. At work, I've been doing quite a bit of that selective cutting and stuff, and kind of clearing some places out that are just so thick that you can't, like a deer doesn't even use it, you know?
Yeah.
Like I want to keep doing some of that. Man, on like the food plot side of things, one thing that I've seen the most benefit from, which I want to do it at home, it's just kind of hard. I don't have the right equipment exactly, but
Just borrow it from work.
exactly, yeah. Dude, the few years we've actually had a successful corn crop has been nuts. Like,
I feel like that's pretty difficult.
it is, and it's difficult up there on that river to actually get a successful corn crop, because when you're planting corn in April's wettest time of the year, you know. But there's been one winter where we had like 18 acres of corn on one place and 12 on another, opposite sides of the river. And dude, the amount of deer that winter there is bananas. Like, you're drawing, that's such a drawing power. Like, anyone that has corn planted, you know, for farming practice, it's cut by then, and there's a little bit of what's left in the field. But if you have standing corn,
Security cover and food.
oh yeah, and it's just such a magnet. That's what our food plots at home are, 2 acres at the biggest, but if it's 2 acres of standing corn, that's going to be drawing deer like crazy.
Do
And
you guys
less
get your stuff at home, the 2 acres? Like, is it browsed down to nothing by the end of the year? Like, you guys need way more food?
Oh man, it's bad.
Yeah.
Like, which our 2 food plots are about a mile apart, and like, we run a feeder on them as well, you know. But dude, it's grazed to nothing, and we would just have to take more of the pasture in, you know, take away, which taking an acre away from the cattle isn't going to make a difference really, but that's what, if we want to be able to hold actual winter forage, that's what you're going to have to do, because like I was saying earlier, like, our food plots, they are more just an attractant. They're not big enough to be an actual nutritional food plot, you know.
Yeah.
How do you feel like your doe to buck ratio is? Because if it's kind of out of whack, I mean, it could help with the food plot situation.
Yeah, could. I bet we're heavy on the does. I would guess.
Well, I think, I mean, that's not uncommon, but I mean,
No, I mean, probably 2 to 1 would be my
It's pretty good.
guess. Maybe 3 to 1. I don't know. I know we have more does than we do bucks.
I'm interested in, like, kind of the limited resource stuff, because it sounds like you guys have, you know, in an area, like, you give a deer something that's different that he can't get somewhere else, right? And they're going to get him on your place. So you guys, do you feel like you have a pretty good sanctuary, like good untouched bedding cover? You guys just lack food, need more food?
I think we need more food. There's, like, right there just west of my house where we have that food plot and that shooting house, there's an 80 that we can hunt that joins it to the west. That's that hillside, and we didn't step foot in there this year. Like, not at all. Now I have some stands in there that I've hunted in the past, but with the way that place sets up, the pasture is so grown up as well. Like there's deer bedding in the pasture, there's deer bedding on the hill. You're walking through deer no matter what if you're trying to go in there and hunt. So it's like made it tough. So we've almost just used that as a sanctuary type deal, as well with down there on my property where the other food plot is. There's 160 around it that we can also hunt, but 80 of it's pasture with the creek that runs through it. Then the other 80's all the grown up stuff. And it's just so hard. Like that's what I've told people, like up there at work, they're all, we get to show them around and be like, this is your unit. This is where I would set up, whatever, and they're like, well, aren't I going to be spooking deer walking all the way back here? I'm like, you're spooking deer no matter what. Like, and especially on that place that we leased this year, I was telling you, it's like 400 acres of bedding. No matter where you try to go on that, even if you just barely try to penetrate the edges of it, you're going to be spooking deer. I mean, It's just a flip of the coin. Like, do I spook these deer and go in here and give myself a better chance sitting in a better area? Or do I spook some of these deer and just hunt the edge of it? Like, there's not which I'm sure there is, but I haven't found a perfect way to access someplace. I know some people plant that screening, all that stuff, and that
switchgrass or something.
What do they call that?
Switchgrass, or there's a bunch of different screens you can plant. Miscanthus.
I can't say that word.
Like that'll work if all you're doing is blocking off your food plot so you can go get in your shooting house or something. That might work, but if you're hunting a creek bottom and there's deer bedded on the side of the hill right here, and there's deer bedded in this thicket right here, and that creek bottom's a mile off the road, 3/4 of a mile off the road.
Yeah.
You drive into it on your four-wheeler, you're driving past all kinds of deer all the way in there. I mean, it's just so hard because you're spooking deer no matter what you do. It's just how many deer do you want to spook? What deer do you want to spook?
Yeah, which deer you want to spook is...
I like hunting those mentally ill, deaf, and blind deer. Those are my favorite ones. The ones you come in, you can't scare them off. It sounds like one of the things that you and your dad have a bunch of success is like you're obviously disciplined on your age class, but one of the things you're doing that a lot of people aren't doing in this area is like you do have true sanctuaries for deer of like this is untouched. When all the pressure in the neighborhood goes, this is where they can come.
Yeah. And that's something that my dad's always been big on. Like at the place on the creek over there that we've hunted for 20 plus years, we've always had one section of it that we call the sanctuary. Like have went in there in the last 2 years or so and hunted midday just to see what rut activity's going on, but 9 times out of 10 it's not touched. I mean, don't even have a camera in there, nothing. It's just like you said, like that is beneficial. I think having those areas where they're not getting messed with at all.
Right. That's
gives them
something
a safe place.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal because I always, like we were talking about, wondering where did these big bucks go? And it's like, even if you're not killing them, they're probably in there. Yeah. And that gets them 1 year older, and then it gives you another go around the sun of maybe you'll kill them the next year. But so,
man, there's been a few bucks that my dad's killed up there at my house that we would have on camera 1 year, a couple pictures of, and then the next year not ever have a picture of them, and my dad kills them. Just shows up one day. I mean, he's been there the whole time. He hasn't walked out on that food plot in front of that camera. He's been there the whole time. My dad killed 140-inch 8-point in 23, I think, last evening in rifle season. We had that deer on camera late season the year before. We're like, man, it's a hammer. Like it was late bow season. We're like, oh, we'll kill him next year, Never had a picture of him. We saw him one time before that chasing a doe. We're like, all right, at least he's still around. And then the last evening rifle season, he comes over the top of the hill, works a scrape, comes down there to the edge of the food plot, and gets whacked. But that's great. My dad killed, out of that same shooting house that year, he killed a 160-incher with his muzzleloader and that 140-inch 8-point.
That's a 300-inch year.
Yeah.
Dude.
That's the goal every year, 300-inch year. That's a big deal.
It is. And my dad's done it a few times. He's a killer. Like, he just something about it. He knows what to do.
Those trail cams don't tell the whole story.
They
Like,
don't
that
at
deer's
all.
Gone and dead. No, he may not be.
Man, and that's what that double D buck I was talking about. Like, the year before I killed him, he got that horn to his eye, and you could tell in the trail camera pictures that, I mean, he had blood running out of his eye, and it was all swollen shut. I was like, he's gonna die. Like, just where my mind went, I was like, I started looking for his deadhead in January, because like December 12th was the last picture I got of him. I was like, he's dead around here somewhere. And I looked and looked and looked, and then he didn't show up till October 20 something, 15th, 20th the next year. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's still alive. Like, where does that deer go?
Yeah.
And like I said, I've shed hunted that whole place to the best of my ability and never found a single horn off of him. Like, I couldn't tell you where he bedded. Somewhere along that creek.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he went and wintered somewhere else. Like, if there's a better food source for him to go winter 2 miles down the creek. Or,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's something else. Like, there's a buck that, I think it was 2015 or 16. We had a buck show up in Velvet, and we were hunting a really old deer we called Goofy. We were hunting him, never got him killed, neighbor ended up killing him. But this buck was running with him, and we're like, God, that's a giant. Like, where did this deer come from? And we had him on camera that summer, and I watched him on the place that I own now. I didn't own it then. It was a bean field. 60 acres of it was a bean field, and I watched him a couple of evenings in Velvet, and I was like, this is a giant. Well, then he disappeared whenever season came around. Next year, same thing. Shows up in Velvet, and he's like a giant now, and we're like, all right, he's gotta stay around here. We're gonna kill him. He was there till like October 12th. And I hunted him hard, never saw him. Well, a buddy of mine, his dad killed that deer opening morning of rifle season 4 miles away. 182 incher, I think.
Oh, wow.
Goodness.
And like, what was crazy is he would have pictures of that deer in the summer, and then the next year I'd have him in the fall. And then there was that summer and fall, he stayed right there around us, and then he went and rutted 4 miles away. So like, them deer, like, I think that they cover such a larger area than what we give them credit for, which deer are individuals though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they each have their own personality and traits that they carry or whatever. But like, that buck, it was crazy that he was here and we think we've got him figured out. He's bedding. I jumped him out of his bed one time going in there to put corn out, you know. I'm like, he's living right here, but he was rutting 4 miles away. And then the next year, about the same thing, my buddy had a buck on camera all summer up until the middle of October, and I have a buck show up middle of October, never seen before, and I killed him. And he's like, dude, I was wondering where that buck went. It came off the same property that his dad killed the 180 incher off of, and he came and rutted up there on us. Like, it's just crazy.
That's where I feel like the thermal drones would be so interesting, because like, I feel like there's so many different factors. It'd be hard to just pinpoint why exactly each deer either summer's on you or winter's on you or vice versa. And it's like, I mean,
it depends on the year too, though. I mean, like, rainfall, like that could determine, like, maybe this property has certain vegetation that is great in the summer after a good rainfall year, that the bucks gather here, or most of the deer gather here this summer. They summer here because that's where the food's the best, and then rut, comes around and they go back out to where they're going to rut at. And doe numbers, I mean, there's so many different factors that play into it.
Pressure, I feel like, is a big one too.
Pressure's big too.
I feel like we don't even understand a tenth of why deer do what they do.
No.
It doesn't make any sense. That's what makes them so unique and fun to chase. I was on the management stuff, the last thing. This is kind of an interesting point that I've been thinking of the last year. I think global warming is definitely a thing, not in like a weird,
Oh my god.
stupid liberal way, not like that kind of
Yeah.
way, but just like, hey, I'm wearing a t-shirt through November most years when it used to. I don't know if you remember in high school and stuff, dude. We were breaking ice November on, like duck
hunts.
hunting. You're breaking ice November from when it started to the end of season. You're breaking ice,
Yeah.
and now it's not that. I mean, you're hunting through November and you're wearing a t-shirt most of the time. One of the things that I've thought is like the deer season's not going to shift, right? It's going to still be in October and everything else.
The rut still holds true too.
The rut still holds true, right, on the photo period and everything else. But I think what's interesting is I think one of the best opportunities to kill deer now is like late season. Like
You think so?
because how cold you don't get your good colds until second half of December into January. There's not a whole lot of food availability at that time period. And you can pull a lot of deer.
That is what I feel like is a caveat. It is if you have food and if you have, that bedding, I feel like you can kill them. But if you don't have either of those things, I mean, you might as well just hang up your bow.
But that might change your strategy, the sense of like, well, I need to go put way more food in because I know I can recruit these deer at this time of the year and they're moving a lot more when it's cold. It's just one of the things I've been thinking about a lot because I'm like, well, if they're not moving most of the year, it's hard to freaking kill them, So it's just a general thought that I've kind of been having of like maybe it makes food more important than it used to be.
Something, which I could be wrong, but something it seems like I've noticed the last couple of years is there's a big number of giant deer killed within like the first week of season. And that's something I've always, because it is so hot here, I'll hunt a little bit, but I don't put much time in until 20th of October or so. You know what I mean? It starts cooling off and they start getting fired up a little bit. But that, our season opening October 1st here, deer are still typically somewhat on a summerish type pattern. They're still in bachelor groups. They're still feeding together and moving before dark and stuff. But like that's something that I think I need to improve on to help my odds at killing a big deer is October 1st, even if it's 85 degrees, I need to have a plan figured out and get a deer patterned, like, because they're patternable then.
Yeah.
My favorite time to hunt is the rut, and you don't know where that buck's going to be here or 4 miles away, and I'm sitting here putting all my eggs in this basket, like, this is when I need to kill this deer, when I really should be focusing early or, like you said, late.
Yeah.
If you've got the food or if you've got a feeder or something to draw those deer. But early season is something that I need to put more emphasis on for sure.
Do you think you're able to pattern those deer, like from your trail cam knowledge? Are you able to pattern them, or are they kind of like hit and miss?
I think I'm able to pattern them. Now, there's been a couple years where I was lazy and didn't get a camera out till October, so I didn't really know what was going on before then. But I usually, most of the time, try to have a camera out by the 1st of August is like my normal,
Dude, that data gets expensive. So like, I'm right there with you. I'm like, okay, October, that's when I'll turn you on.
Yeah. Which I still run a lot of regular camera, the old school cameras too. But man, those cell cameras have spoiled us. And like you mentioned earlier, and I believe it too, like I put way too much weight in what that camera's sending me every day. You know what I mean? Like there's been many times where I'm sitting in my stand and watch a deer walk in front of that cell camera and don't get a picture sent to my phone. I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
So I'm putting all of my weight into like when I need to go based on when that camera's sending me a picture. And he might be walking in front of it and it not send me a picture, or he walks 10 yards that way and he's been in here 3 mornings in a row and I just haven't went in here and gave it a shot because I haven't got a picture of him yet.
Yeah. We run a lot of cameras I run them over feeders and stuff. And I've had hunts where I've got four does on camera and I see 20 while I'm hunting. I'm like, and a mature buck walks behind the stand. He can walk within 30 yards of the camera. And it's just, I don't know. You got to.
I feel like I bring this up every episode and every guest as well. Just, I feel like there's a difference between running a feeder or like just a regular corn pile. Because I feel like the more mature bucks tend to stay away from the feeder, especially if it's one of those spin feeders and not the gravity fed ones. It's like, I feel like they almost associate that with death in a sense. And so like, I've even tested it on my own or on the private that I can hunt, where I'll have a corn pile here and then a feeder over here. And then like as soon as they all run dry, I'll switch them. And then you'll just see where, okay, little dinks and 2-year-olds will be right here. And then whenever the more mature bucks come through, because it's just right along that creek. And so it's just basically just a travel corridor. They'll usually hit the corn pile over the feeder. And so I don't know if that's just personal stuff and specific to that land, but do you see a difference in that?
Yeah, we've mostly just had a corn pile is what we've done most of the time. The only places we really have feeders are in those food plots and those spin feeders like that. But I think it's all what that deer is accustomed to, what they've grown up with. Like, you know what I mean? Like with us just running spin feeders the last 4 or 5 years, like
that's all I've known.
That's all they've known now. But like the first year or two we had them out, they were pretty wary of them, you know.
That's a good point.
And I mean, it's a random noise that, you know, and
it's dinner bell.
Yeah,
it kind of wake you up whenever you're dozing off in the stand too. You're just like, oh, whoa.
But yeah, I've mostly ran corn piles. At work, I've never had a spin feeder. We've had gravity feeders. But I think it's all like what your deer are used to. Like we had a pair of pigs show up this year on camera.
Good luck.
And they have the deer scared like 100% because our deer aren't used to pigs. Like there's not hardly any around. There's been one group around for the last 2 or 3 years. You see them once and then they'll be gone for a month and come back. But these 2 boars about every 3 or 4 nights would show up. And then like on that food plot, we have a feeder that doesn't even have a camera on. We just have a feeder over here, but then up in the corner we have a 50-gallon plastic barrel that we cut in half long ways and just use it as like a trough, you know, to put the corn in. And those pigs would come up there and flip that trough over and flip all the corn out of it. And then for 24 hours, deer were super hesitant. Like they would just come out and not even go up to the corn, just skirt around it. And like we had a few good bucks on camera this year on that place. And then pigs come through. You don't see those bucks for 4 or 5 days. Now they're probably still right in that area, but they're not coming out onto that food plot where them pigs have been, just because they're not accustomed to that scent, or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The private piece I hunt, we had pigs on there for the first time. It was only like 3 or 4. I think it was 3 years ago, and then last year there was probably about 10 or 12, and then now there's just an ungodly amount. Like whole pastures rooted up. What little timber there is, it's just, I mean, they're just riddled in there. And it's like, what do you do besides, I guess, trap them? Which you guys trap a lot of pigs at GRDA too.
Yeah, that's the most effective way to make any kind of dent in them whatsoever is trapping them. And you'll make a dent in them for a little while, but they'll be right back
at it.
Like we've caught, I don't remember, north of 150 pigs in this one trap over like a 2-year span. And we quit trapping there because we were just catching like one boar every once in a while. They're back in there like mad now. I mean,
really?
What do you do about it?
I don't know what to. I mean, just you have to keep running that trap, and I mean, running that cell camera that's on that trap. I mean, it's all
it would
time
almost
and
have
money.
to be a group effort, like not just necessarily your property, but your neighbor's property, and then their neighbor's property. Because I mean, now since they're on that private piece, and I'm pretty sure that's like their main breeding ground, as much as I don't want to admit it, but like neighbor Colby Phillips, he's like, hey, you need to start doing something about them because they're starting to get over here. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do about it.
Well, I know 2 other people that hunt north of that piece on that you have right there, and all fall they've had pigs on camera.
See, yeah,
and one guy's shot 8 of them, I think, so far by now, and
they're fun to shoot.
Oh yeah,
they're not fun to when you're not trying to shoot them. You're trying to shoot a deer.
They're a nuisance.
I was talking to a guy who had show pigs at our agent conference, and he said that they can have as many piglets as they have nipples, and so like if they have 10 or 12, they can have 12, and they have 2 litters a year. So like
for sure 2, and I think they can even have up to 3.
That's awesome.
That's tough.
That's awesome.
If you're anything like us, you spend all year searching for a mature buck to chase in the fall, and once you find him, it's hard to keep tabs on him as the season progresses. That's why we partnered up with Tacticam.
Most deer hunters need 8 hours of sleep and 3 cups of coffee to go scouting, but these cell cameras are in the woods working 24/7. The new Tacticam Reveal models have fast trigger speeds, on-demand video, GPS capabilities, and they come with built-in storage, so SD cards are optional. If you're interested in picking up some Tacticam Reveal cell cameras, make sure to go to tacticam.com and use code HA152026 at checkout for 15% off.
Most of the stories you said, like, I think it was double D's, you were using a decoy and all that stuff. And you mentioned that was your favorite time. So what I guess, let's just start here. What's your favorite time period and specifically dates for Oklahoma? Because I know the rut is, pretty broad when, there's some people in Georgia or Florida that might have a rut in January. So it's like, what are your favorite dates and why?
Like the 26th or 7th of October through the 5th of November, 4th of November. Like when the bucks are chasing, but not everything's in lockdown.
So kind of like that pre-rut phase where they're
very beginning of the rut.
Do you see them around that time period just like actually chasing or just kind of cruising?
No, there'll be a few chasing. I actually killed a buck one year on October 13th and was full on locked down on this doe. Crazy. Made no sense. Watching him work 2 scrapes, bump that doe around, work another scrape, and it was just him and her were the only deer out there. Chased her right under my stand, shot him, and that was nuts. Like, that was October 13th. That shouldn't happen, I don't know if that was a crazy deal. Like I was saying, she might have been a really old doe and her cycle's messed up or what the deal was on that. But I usually miss the prime time to hunt scrapes. Like, by the time I'm like, oh man, there's scrapes open everywhere, let me hang a camera on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
too late.
They've been open for a week, and I've been focusing over here instead of where all these scrapes are. So, but I love that. Like the last weekend of muzzleloader season, which is usually Halloween, to the first week of November, the 4th, 5th, because deer start getting locked down,
Yeah, and
after that,
tough.
and it gets tough.
So, what are you really keen in on during those times?
Just like mostly because I'm hunting the same places I've always hunted, just like history.
Mm-hmm.
Like certain pinch points where I've always had good either daylight pictures or sightings of good deer. There's a ton of acorns on that place, on that creek over there. So like there's so many of them that the deer eat them all season long, basically, And there's like a few areas that I know there's a bunch of does coming to this little oak flat right here, so I'll set on this and have a bunch of activity there, which there'll be scrapes open up there too, but mostly just like history on a place. But that's also where I shoot myself in the foot too, because I've known that place has been good, so I keep going to it instead of like, well, what about this pinch point over here?
Trying to figure out like the nuances of the property and
like I've hunted that place, like I said, since I killed my first deer on that place when I was 7, and there's all kinds of places that are probably better on that property than where I have a stand hung. You know what I mean? And I started branching out some 2 seasons ago and found like a super heavy used creek crossing, and that thing is fire during the rut. Like,
really,
it's the main creek crossing on that place, and it's nuts. I haven't killed a deer out of that stand yet. I drew back on a good one last year, but just couldn't get him stopped in time.
What makes that little creek crossing nuts? Is there like bedding on one side, and it's just like that kind of travel area between bedding or food? Like,
yeah, it's the west side of that creek is what we have leased now, and it's just giant steep hillside, kind of open oak timber, and then there's a feeder creek that is just south of my stand. And where that crossing is just where the bank isn't steep. It's just the natural low spot in that creek right there, or creek bank right there. And they use that draw that feeds into that creek to go out into more food, So it's just a natural travel.
Is it pretty beat down?
Yeah.
Okay. the only reason I asked like all those questions, just because like for this time frame, if there's a listener out there and you know, you might say, okay, there's a creek crossing, but then it's like, okay, I find creek crossings. Well, what do they need to look for? And it's like, is it bedding to food? Like all that type of stuff. So that's the only reason I kind of would like to key in on that. I mean, do you have anything when?
No, it's interesting you say like historically hunting properties, because I feel like that's a big problem. I do it
Dude,
every year.
It's
bad.
One of my
second
biggest
nature.
downfalls is like, I've killed a buck here.
It's going to work again.
It's going to work again. Does it work again? It does eventually.
If you hunt it long enough.
If you hunt it long enough. But like that's, like sitting here talking to you guys has made me like inwardly look at a lot of the stuff that I do. And there's a lot of stuff I could do differently.
Shame.
I know. But like there's so much stuff that I could probably improve to help my odds, because it sucks going 6 years without killing a buck. Like, especially if I'm the kind of guy that's going to sit here and preach shooting big deer and all this, and well, hey, you haven't killed a buck in 5 years. How are you going to sit here and talk about this? Well, like
You chose to listen.
What ground do I have to stand on? Like, it's just hard.
No, it's interesting. I was listening to Cody DeQuisto talk. Like, I don't know if you follow any of their stuff. Like, and he said one of the things that he does, and I thought it was really interesting. He says, every year I wipe the slate clean. I walk into every property that I hunt, and I look at it like I've never been there before.
That's smart.
And I'm like, dang, I'd probably hunt these properties way differently if I didn't have, but I saw a good one do that one time. It's like, was that the first time he did that, or the 100th time he's done that?
Yeah.
I think I might try some of that this postseason and see what it works.
I need to open my mind to the places I've hunted forever and look at them from a different angle, and even if I got someone else that's never been on that property, just like, hey, let's go look at this and see what you think. How would you hunt this property? And that's going to give you a completely different, frame of mind on like, hey, I didn't think about that, but it's hard hunting a place that you have a lot of history with. And that's why I like hunting like in Missouri or whatever, because I've never stepped foot on this. This looks good. And I think it goes back to putting too much weight into your trail cameras too, but like, I don't know if I like have too high of expectations for a place that looks so good.
Yeah.
That I'll put a bunch of time into it. Like this year I hunted on that new piece we picked up, super thick bedding. And then like a long time ago, this fence row had been cleared out. So it's like a open travel area right there with another big trail that like a big T basically. I was like, this is going to be fire right here. There's scrapes. I hunted there like 4 mornings, saw 2 coyotes and a spike. And I was like, this makes no sense. Like, this looks so good. Yeah. And I finally made myself get out of there and go hang in a different spot. Once again, that next spot looked amazing. Never saw a shooter. Like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know if like preconceived notions or whatever's the right word, but like you have this idea in your head on like what a good spot should look like. Yep. And whenever you walk up to it, you're like, oh man, look at this trail, look at this scrape. Mm-hmm. Everything's adding up. This should be the spot right here. And you could be off 50 yards or you could be off half a mile. Like it's such a hard thing to do, killing a good deer. I mean,
yeah. When we went to, you were at McAllister that same week.
Dude, I wanted to talk about McAllister while we were here.
Yeah. Yeah, we could talk about it. I was thinking about the spot that I hunted when you said like you have these preconceived notions, because I went in there and hunted a spot of timber that was probably 100 yards wide. Like the whole strip of timber was 100 yards wide. I'm like, well, this sucks. I walked in there. There's a few good rubs, maybe a scrape, like a cedar tree that's tore up. And I get in there and I can shoot 15 yards in each direction. I'm like, God, if I was compound hunting, like, no.
Yeah.
And then I have a deer come right underneath my tree and I shoot him and I killed him. I was like, dude, this is the type of spot I would never hunt, ever hunt. And like within 2, it was my first sit in there. I killed one. I was like, maybe I should open my mind a little bit on this sort of stuff. So it's interesting. What do you want to say about NCAP?
I was talking to my dad the other day about a conversation I had with you about it. I can't remember. We were talking about shooting recurves or something. And Dad's like, I think, within 15 yards, as long as you hit it in the deer, you're doing pretty good, And I messaged you. You killed that one. I was like, you smoke him? You're like, yep, right in the neck.
Smoked him.
Yeah.
I shot that buck, and I was like, I didn't hear like a body thwack, you know, like you can, and with a recurve, you're probably not going to pass through. So if like you hit him in the body, it's usually going to be like, and I shot, and I was like, I don't know if I hit him. And I went down there, my arrow was red. I was like, where the frick did I hit him? And followed the dude. It was like Sammy Sprinkler the whole way. I was like, sweet. Walked up right there. I was like, I'll call that a win. If you hit him with a recurve, dude.
Oh, heck yeah.
Their wound rate's probably 80%, and McAllister, it's gotta be.
Did you guys see any?
Man, that was some of the toughest hunting I've had. Like, it was so grown up, and
Feel helpless with the recurve, I assume, too.
Oh, yeah. And
That'd be
like,
tough.
kind of goes back to some of the stuff we were talking about. The first spot I walked into, I found like 4 scrapes, like a scrape line, you know. And I was like, oh, I'll find something way better than this, you know. It's McAllister. Like, they're supposed to be 200 inches walking around everywhere down here, whatever. I'll find something that looks way better. Dude, and I walked and walked and walked. And finally got tired. And I was like, this is going to work.
Yeah.
Threw my stand up. So thick, I could hear deer walking around me, but couldn't hardly see them. And then finally went back on the last morning. It rained that whole time we were down there.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
It was miserable.
Yeah.
It was like 80 degrees on the day that we walk around and check stuff out, and you're sweating, and then it goes to 35 or 40 degrees in rain after that. But finally went back into the spot that I saw, the first spot I walked to that I, you know, had crossed off the list because I would have found something better. And got in there that morning and hung my stand. And it's raining so hard. I'm like hugging my tree with my head behind the tree, trying to block the rain, you know? And I would just like look around every once in a while. I'd pull my head up and look, and there's this, he wasn't a giant, but he was 120-inch deer, 10 yards just looking at me. I'm like, Try to grab my bow, and he ran off. And I saw like 3 different bucks that morning. I'm like, if I'd have just sat here the whole time, I would have at least got to shoot at one, you know? Mm-hmm. But, man, that was a tough hunt. I loved it. I've put in for it since then, haven't drawn, but I'll go back again for sure.
I remember that Saturday it was raining because I hunted a tree that was a Y, like it was about 10 foot up and then it wide. And I was like, this is the tree, though. So when it rained, I put... Have you ever saddle hunted?
I haven't.
Okay. Well, you got like a tether and then you got a lineman's rope. You probably use a lineman's rope to climb a tree.
Yep.
Yeah. So I had lineman rope on one side of the tree and then I tethered on the other and I cinched them both down to where I was like suctioned to the tree and I would just lean into it and like go to sleep when it was raining. Because, I mean, it rained all day. Like,
it was
daylight to dark. It was raining.
Hard downpour? Or?
Oh, like it was going pretty good.
Just a steady, soak you to the bone rain.
I had my rain gear and I just sat down like this. And I remember at one point I woke up because I had got tight enough where I could take my feet off the platform where they didn't hurt. And I fell asleep and I woke up and I like was trying to move my legs. And I was like, my legs are broken. That's what I thought. And then both my feet were numb from the knees below. And I like picked them up. I was like, and then put them back on the platform. I tried to stand up and I went like that. Dude, it was tough hunting that Saturday. But yeah, it was drizzly and they still killed some good bucks. I was feeling so good about myself because I killed a buck in like the first 4 hours. I'm like, dude, I go in and the guy in the cooler has like a 155 sitting in there. I was like, dang it, somebody's already struck. It was a good hunt, but it was really, really tough conditions that weekend.
It was.
That's a cool spot though.
It is. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Nuts, especially driving through the bear trap or whatever they call it, where there's no hunting. Mm-hmm. There's 150 inchers just walking around.
It's kind of weird because, like, I know it's a ammunition plant, so, like, I feel like the management would be basically just regulating who goes in there, right?
Yeah.
And then there's all these giants here, so it's just like, it kind of goes back to your first story in the beginning about that 200-incher, you know, and that very thick stuff. And it's like, okay, there's something to be said about just letting things go.
Letting a place go back to what it's going to do, yeah.
And that place has never seen a fire. I mean, there's ammo everywhere. There's never been a fire in there.
Yeah.
It is some of the thickest,
could do
nastiest.
some good, but, man, that's one thing I've learned about, like, when I'm out shed hunting is, like, you think, all right, the deer's going to be bedding in that thick, nasty stuff, you know. and I've got into places where I'm like crawling through cedar trees. Like, there ain't no damn deer in here. Like, why are they going to go into this whenever you can't even walk through it, you know? And
Yeah.
like, that's been something that I've had to teach myself, because you wear yourself out just trying to wade through brush where there's not even going to be deer at, you know? But
Now, did your dad see anything during MCAP? Okay.
he was, he's more of a fair weather hunter, you know?
Yeah.
So he hunted not very far from the truck, and he would just set up his little stool and make him a little blind.
Mm-hmm.
I think him and Coy killed like 5 or 6 armadillos with their
Oh, no
recurves.
way.
Yeah. They were.
I wonder how
hammered.
many times they missed. They're like,
Oh, they were. They were telling me stories about it, but yeah, it was. Man, it was an awesome hunt, but it was tough. You haven't been down there, have you?
not yet. See, I have like 4 or 5 points, and I still haven't drew out yet. Now,
Really?
granted, when he drew out, which was I think 2 or 3 years ago, we started putting it again, and at that point I had 3 points. So he's weighing me down because he only has like 2 now. And so I think in Oklahoma it takes the averages, or at least for that draw it does. But yeah, it's mainly all his fault.
That's what McAllister's the first hunt I ever put in for in Oklahoma, and first hunt I've ever put in for anywhere to draw, and I drew it. And I've put in for what's the max you put in for 4 hunts, I think, in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think so.
Man, the one I want to draw, which I think it's almost impossible, is the rifle hunt, the deer hunt at Wichita Mountains.
The refuge.
Yeah.
Dude.
There's monsters.
Oh, I was at the taxidermist at Jared's, and I'm like, where's this buck from? He's like, Wichita Mountains. I was like,
How big was it?
180s.
Yeah.
How many points does this draw out there?
Oh, dude, it can take your whole life and never draw it.
So it's about as much desired as like the elk hunt.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like that. I
Is
think it
it
even
that
be,
desirable?
Yeah. I know a guy that just drew it with 38 points.
30.
Wichita?
Yeah, but we have a bonus point system, so you could draw it in a year. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but-
yeah, he just drew it with like 38. It's
You know
Tanner
the-
Woodward's grandpa.
Oh, really? That's cool.
He killed a giant.
I don't. I need to ask Tanner. I'm assuming not, or I probably would have seen it.
Would've seen
but
it, yeah.
you drive around, and they do those tourist pictures like off the road, and the genetics is like 14 points, 16 point, triple
Just
splits, like
nasty.
it's like McAllister.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you can rifle hunt.
you can rifle hunt it. It's crazy.
But I'm not willing to save up my deer points for 30 years. Like, I'll go to McAllister 5 times before
Yeah.
then.
Yeah,
That's your chance at a 200-inch deer. Like, legit. for
dude. The
real.
recurve is so hard. Like I've tried it just very few shots. Whenever there was one weekend we were scouting down southeast, and he brought a back target in that recurve whenever he knew he was drawing out for McAllister, and we were down there shooting it. And, you know, he was doing good. He was hitting the bag and stuff. And then I'd try it, and I'd be like, spend 10 minutes finding the arrow in the background, and it's like, daggum, dude. It's tough.
It is.
It's tough. Do you practice it very often, or?
Man, I've shot it very little since I drew in, honestly. I kept telling myself, like, I'm going to go shoot a doe with it or something at
Yeah.
home, you know, but I haven't.
My luck is in, like, I would say that and try to go shoot a doe, but that's when I'd see, like, just a random mega giant. I'm just like,
Hell, got my
this is
recurve.
going to turn into firewood real quick. Yeah.
I shot it that whole summer, and the week before we went to McAllister, I was like, I'm going to go shoot a doe. I don't want the first thing I shoot at to be a buck. I go to that Arnold lease I had down there. I had a really good lease, a better lease in Southwest. I had a doe at 15 yards. She walks by. I thought I was going to pull back and get to my anchor point and shoot. I snapshot her immediately. I was like, and I'm not kidding you. Like, it was like 4 foot to the left. I was like, hold up. She took a couple jumps, and I was like, and then I pulled back and I hit her, and it went in about that far. I was like, great. This is going to be a great
cool.
hunt. Yeah. I would recommend just don't shoot it at an animal. Go in with blind confidence. It's so tough.
One thing I noticed about it, though, like, I picked it up last year, and it's not quite like riding a bike, but once you, like, you know what I mean? You can pick it back up, and within 30 minutes or so, you're back to shooting decently after not shooting it for a while, is my experience with it. Mm-hmm. Like, it's really fun just to sit in the yard and shoot it, too, though. Like, I love shooting my recurve. I need to do it more. It's
I
fun.
just feel like you'd have to have just the perfect arrow set up for that. Just heavy.
It's got to
as
be
heck.
heavy, yeah. I'd shoot like a 200 grain broadhead would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I've got 150 grains on that, but I haven't shot anything with it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ground's gonna be hurting if I go to pick it up.
Yeah. I had a couple just last little kind of rapid fire questions.
And then close one to scar.
Yeah. So just on the kind of in the vein of habitat management, you talk about not having all the equipment that you need to do everything that you wanted to do. For someone who's can do one thing this year, whether it's like improve bedding, do TSI, add food to a property, it's going to be different on each individual property. But what do you think is like the easiest kind of low hanging fruit to do that you can improve a property with? Like, what would you do if you kind of had a blank canvas, but you could only do one thing? Let's say it's a thick, nasty piece, has no food on it, like just like GRDA was when you guys started.
I would say if it's a thick, nasty place like that, the one thing you could do is like clear some of it out. Like even if it's just with a chainsaw, whether that's TSI or completely, flush cut and stuff, where you're just making a little bit more open area and letting that new growth come out, that'll produce food.
Better browse.
So
Better browse is along with clearing some of that stuff out, because like we're saying, that deer is not going to want the thickest stuff imaginable,
Yeah, they're edge creatures. So just kind of like paint a simplified picture in my stupid brain. Is it like when you're talking about that, are you talking about just like the select cutting, or are you talking about just like the total clear cut?
I mean, if your whole property is one big thick, even if it's 20 acres or whatever, just thick bedding, clear cut half an acre of it, or even smaller than that possibly, and you'll create more of that edge type.
Some diversity.
Something
different.
That's something that's big, is diversity. And yesterday I was walking a fire line up there at work. We're going to burn some of that timber I was talking about earlier. We're going to burn it in the next week or two. And all that ground up there is so flat. It's a river bottom, and something that I've noticed being up there for so long now, like there's old sloughs or like dry, like low spots, and just the little bit of a change in elevation, like wherever there's that high spot, there's going to be a beat down trail on it. Like those deer use that just a little bit of a elevation change as like their main travel. And there's typically in those areas, there's a lot more grass and stuff too. So I don't know if that kind of plays into like they bed.
Interesting.
On that stuff more. And something that on that place I was on yesterday, we've had a lot of like super windy springs the last few years, and that wet soil and all that wind, there's so many just giant down trees up there. And that helps too. There's a lot of grass that grows around where all those trees are down, and there's just beds
Really?
everywhere. And that fish on a fishing pole grass or switchgrass, whatever's growing in there, there's beds everywhere and that stuff. That horizontal cover's big for bedding, I believe.
Really?
I think so.
All right, so what we like to do at the end of the podcast, kind of bring it back down to earth, because there's a lot of highlights and a lot of lows as well. But for the new hunter, whether they're just getting into it, as a young one or maybe an onset hunter, Instagram, Facebook, all the socials, and on YouTube, it's like a highlight reel, right? You got the grip and grin, but the reality of hunting is there's going to be more failures than the success.
Oh yeah.
And so just to kind of like bring everything back down to earth, what is that one moment that still haunts you? And it could be a blown encounter or a missed shot opportunity, that still haunts you to this day. See, for us, we could name like 10 right off the bat. But for you,
You must not have enough.
Yeah.
I got 20 of them.
I'm trying to think, like all of those mishaps with Double D would be definitely on there, but I finally got him killed.
Maybe one you didn't end up killing that you're like, yeah, that one got away. That sucks.
There was a buck. I was probably 10 years old or so, maybe 12. And I shot at him at like 200 yards facing me. Shouldn't have done it. It's getting dark. Wanted to shoot him. Real heavy horned 8-point. And I hit him, and me and Dad went and blood trailed him. It was getting dark, and never found him. Well, went back the next day, blood trailed, picked up the blood again, never found him. And the next year, that deer survived, and the neighbor killed him. Like that deer, like I don't know if that's like my number one. I'm just trying to think of a deer that got away. Like that buck to this day, like I would love to have that set of horns. Like, you know what I mean? He wasn't a giant, but he's 120s, super heavy, 8-point. I hit him just in the edge of his shoulder right here, face me, 200 yards with 223. That ain't doing very much, you know. But yeah, the neighbor a mile or so away killed him the next year and said he had that leg
Hobbled
drawn up. Yep.
Was the blood good?
Pretty good, really. I mean, for 100 yards, 200 yards, it was pretty good.
You think you got in the cavity, or you think you just like smashed him to skin and bone?
I think I just cut him good enough. I think I hit on the outside part of his shoulder, not like in the armpit. Man, that kind of seems like a letdown of a story. I'm trying to think
it's good because like there's been plenty of times where like I would take a less than desirable shot. Now, obviously, you're 10. Like I do that to this day. You know what I mean? And so like each time, each time it's like, oh man, I need to do better at that. I need to, wait till they get closer, because like one of my biggest things is like when they're, especially on public, if they're out there like 50, 60, it's like, I'm probably never going to see that deer again. But they're walking towards you, and it's like the first clearing you get, you're like, I'm going to send it.
Let's make it happen.
And so like, I mean, each failure has its set of lessons. Now, whether you take those lessons to heart, or you just kind of, one ear and out the other, that's on you. But I mean, through every single story, someone's going to be able to learn something from it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So no, I mean, I thought that was a good story.
Get a bigger gun. No 223s.
Blow his whole shoulder off. That way you can find him.
Old tripod. Yeah. Well, man, we appreciate you coming over and doing this.
Of course. Thank you guys. It's
yeah.
been fun.
If people want to connect with you or see, anything that you got going on, do you have Instagram or Facebook?
Yeah, I haven't been on it for a few months, but Wyatt Speer is my Facebook, and then I think my Instagram's Speer22.
Let's go.
I haven't posted anything on Instagram in a long time.
Easy man to find.
I've seen you on TikTok doing dances and stuff. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, cool.